Hey everybody, welcome to Two Cops, One Donut. I'm your host, Sergeant Eric Levine. Before we get started, here's a quick disclaimer. The views and opinions you're about to hear are those of the hosts and guests alone. They don't represent any police department, agency, sponsor, or employer. Two Cops, One Donut isn't responsible for anything said by guests or for any videos, clips, or content shown during the live stream. This show is intended for adult audiences only. We cover real incidents, we show graphic and sometimes disturbing footage, and we don't shy away from strong language or adult conversations. There may or may not also be alcohol involved. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. Everything you hear or see on the show is for entertainment and educational purposes. It is not legal advice and it's not tactical instruction, and it shouldn't be used for such. By continuing to watch, you're telling us that you understand, you accept all of this. All right, now let's get into it. All right, welcome back to Cops One Donut. I am your host, Sergeant Eric Levine, and I have with me today the one, the only co-host, Banning Sweatland. What's up, buddy?
What's up, brother? How are you doing?
Oh, living the dream, sir. Sitting here trying to, run things in the background like we always do and try to get our guest on here. He is having some technical difficulties, which we can't understand. So for everybody in the audience, we're going to give that some time. We're going to try to get that working. Everything was working perfectly. We were sitting here just discussing because we had gotten ready so early.
Yeah.
And all his stuff is linked up. All of our stuff's linked up. Everything's fine. And then all of a sudden his picture froze because his mic wasn't quite operating properly. And everything just went to shit. So for those that are making fun of my awesome new retro rifle peppermint shirt, as you guys are calling it, this is pink and like a pastel blue. It's a Barbie shirt. It's got bombs all over it, Barbie bombs and a Barbie Dreamland shirt. So yeah,
nobody's here to judge you, man.
I know.
It wouldn't go well with my gray and somewhat red left beard, but
but we do have our guest today, and his photo is right there because his camera just does not want to work. He can hear and talk to us.
You guys hear me?
We can hear you.
Yeah, this is so weird, man. I don't like it. Yeah, it was working 2 minutes ago, and now all of a sudden, not working. Let me see if I can unplug my camera and maybe plug it into something different here.
Yeah, maybe that'll work. Who knows? We'll I mean, if we have to, we'll just use your avatar the whole time and
we'll figure
talk
it out.
to the ghost.
Let me see.
It's not too big a deal. We can always make things work. But for those wondering what's that looks like we're talking to a suspect.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's still frozen.
Yeah, it's so weird. We've got so this is Jay or Jason Bandy. He is a retired cop, was a cop up in Connecticut, and is no longer doing that, but has had quite the career and has been making some waves on the social medias. That's how I found him. Actually, he busted my balls thinking that I was on duty making videos at one point. I was like, no, that's not this guy. I was like, I don't do that shit. As a matter of fact, we call that shit out. So we thought that was pretty funny. And then ever since then, Jay and I have been going back and forth, just cutting up. And I think we're pretty like-minded on a lot of our stuff. So what do you got to say, Jay?
Yeah, I agree, man. I mean, listen, I think that we're trying to do the same things like we talked about, which is just educate people. I think that what's going on out here in society is that a lot of the citizens are really uneducated on what's going on in policing, what the law really is, and what police are allowed to do, not allowed to do, as well as what they're allowed to do and not allowed to do. So I said, you know what, let me just, put my experience out there, and that's what I did.
Yep. And it's crazy because with doing this, like I said, I've been doing this 5+ years now. Another thing that I've learned from our audience is that there's a lot of things that cops are fucking up that police have no idea that we're screwing up as much as we are. To include, like, one of the easy things I always like to point out is like the ID crack and trying to say people are required to give ID in situations that they're not required, and trying to point out some of these problems in policing that it's like, we look at it as it's just an everyday thing. We get kind of complacent to it, but to citizens that don't deal with this all the time, it's a rights violation to them. And cops aren't taking the time to educate either. And that's kind of a problem that with what I've got is just like the Miranda warning. When you think about the Miranda warning, like why did that get put into place? Is because people didn't know their rights and we were taking total advantage of that. And I kind of look at the ID stuff the same way. I like to educate people. Like if I have a legal like right to get it because of the law backs me up, well then I'll explain that. But if I don't, I let people know their rights. I'm like, hey, you're not required to give me your ID, but I could use it for the police report and what I'm doing. It just helps me. Are you willing to do that? And if they tell me to kick rocks, I just kick rocks. Is what it is. If I can't figure out what I need to do without it, I'm not a very good cop.
Very true. Very true.
So, I look at it as like with a lot of the stuff that cops have today, we got to have that. We got to have this. And damn, that camera just does not want
trying to figure this thing out. Trying to figure it out, man. It's so weird because when I go into my app on the actual camera app that sets it all up, it's working perfectly fine. But when it must be the restream somehow. It must be this.
Yeah. I'm looking over at the comments, guys. If you are on TikTok or if you are on Instagram, just know that it is harder for us to respond to you because everything else is flowing through YouTube, basically. So if you're on any of the other platforms, we recommend that you jump over to YouTube for a better chance for us to see your comments. But I'm looking over at TikTok at the moment, and I see Mrs. Jane Crymore say, are good cops going to start wearing different uniforms or patches? How are we supposed to tell you apart from other bad cops? Well, just like I tell anybody, you judge a person by their actions, not by what they're wearing. No different than cops shouldn't be judging people by the color of their skin, right? Judge them by their character. If you just look at the uniform and you say that that's a bad cop because he's a cop, well, I'd say you're part of the problem.
Right. Let me see something. I'm going to come right back in 2 seconds. I just want to see if this camera fix works.
No worries, Jay.
Sounds be right back with you.
We'll keep the show rocking and rolling. So yeah, guys, Jay has he's got a unique style. Highly recommend you check out his social media stuff. Don't let the name of the show turn you off right away. I know our crowd. Just because it says the thin blue line on there, or beyond the thin blue line, don't let that make you think it's a cop echo chamber. That is not what he's doing these days. So,
all right, well,
what do you say, Jay?
I'm back to the same thing. I don't know. That didn't work, I guess.
Okay. Does your laptop? Are you on a laptop?
Yeah.
Does the laptop camera work?
Nah, they're all staying frozen. Everything for some reason. I tried them all. Let me see.
That is crazy.
Did you do a complete shutdown, like complete shutdown of your laptop and come back in, click on the link in the email?
Yeah, I could do that if you guys want me to.
Yeah, try that out.
Try that. That's usually what fixes mine.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. All right,
the old Microsoft fix.
All right, I'll be back in a couple minutes.
All right, brother. No worries.
Got you.
I can tell you he's going to be amazing because he's having the same problems I had.
That automatically makes him amazing.
I work for a technology company, and I'm probably one of the worst. That's why I leave it up to my engineers at work for all that amazing stuff.
Yeah. Looking at the live stream, we are rocking and rolling. We were at 140 at one point. It gets going up and down, but anytime we're over 30, I'm pretty fucking happy. So knowing that we're up in the hundreds, we're doing pretty good. While we're waiting for our guests, let's give you guys some updates. Banny, what's going on in your life, sir?
Going to a lot more shows, law enforcement style shows, and I don't want to say everything that my company's going to allow me to do, but it's kind of exciting, man. I'm going to be, let's just say, interviewing great cops from around the country and kind of getting their stories out there. So
I like it.
It's good stuff, man. And it's, I can't wait to bring it. And of course I'll throw it out on LinkedIn and YouTube and stuff as it comes more to fruition, but it's exciting things, man. Good stuff. How about you?
Right now for me, I am going to be heading out to Flock Forward, and I don't know if I'm allowed to technically say it yet. I'll just say this. I'm going to be interviewing somebody very big and I get a half hour, and it's going to be on behalf of Two Cops, One Donut.
No, outstanding.
So it's going to be pretty cool. So just expect that. I'm looking at Ryan's comment. He said, I bet if he had a flat camera, it would still be working. So I just found that funny that we were both talking about that. And then I am going to be flying directly from that over to Phoenix at the Phoenix Convention Center. And we're going to be putting on our National Real-Time Crime Center Association
where I will be with you at
conference. Yes. Oh, yeah. I had
Same shit.
It's kind of coming in and out.
I don't see nothing. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Yep, I can hear you.
So weird, dude. So weird.
Try it without your green screen on. I wonder if that
slows it. Wait, that slowed my mind.
Yeah, green screens tend to slow things down occasionally, just depending on it could be the software might not be as compatible with the green screen. I don't know.
It's also easier to go out and do that, and it'll refresh.
That worked. That worked, bro.
There you go.
There it is.
Look at you guys. You guys know what you're doing, huh?
I'm a fucking genius.
You know what we're doing because of my failures. So.
Yes, 100%. That's funny.
All right, we're good to go. We're good to go.
Okay, let's look over the comments here. One angry goy. You two ain't got shit to say. Okay. Bye, Felicia. If you don't want to watch, don't watch. Ain't nobody's holding you here.
Nope.
And now there's 3 of us. So maybe all 3 of us ain't got shit to say. Fuck out of here. Who are you trying to play? Anyway, Country Girl goes, am I invisible? Country Girl, you relax. Oh, I'm getting some feedback. What is that?
Like an angry stomach.
Yeah, Jay, so you're getting. Did you put the noise cancellation on by chance?
Let me see. Where is that in the settings here?
Yeah, the settings right there says
noise suppression is not supported in Safari. It says
noise suppression. It should say
on the settings on Restream on the very bottom right.
Where's that audio input? Audio input. Maybe because I'm not on the right here. How's this sound? Better?
There you go. Butter.
Okay. There we go. Yeah, it didn't connect to my mic, I guess, when I came back on. So that sounds better.
That sounds way better. We're golden.
All right, I think we're good.
You're golden, pony boy.
Let's do it.
Love
Nice.
it. Okay. Now, I think we've warmed up the crowd long enough. We're 12 minutes in, and we finally got our tech support out of the way. Shit happens. It's alive. Deal with it, people. One angry goy said, all 3 of you are government cucks. Well, what do you know? What does that say about you? You're sitting here watching us. So I think you're the one cucking over there, you weirdo. But no, maybe you should give us a chance. Maybe we'll surprise you. Looking at the comments, Country Girl said, I see you, CC. I'm sorry, Shotgun said that. And
I'm thinking he's wanting to comment or reply as because he obviously wants to be seen on screen.
Look at these comments.
Yeah, press hard. You're making copies, and my wife's going to get the free toaster at the end of the month.
Blue gangsters, criminal assholes, all cops. Okay.
Oh man, that's it's interesting because when I had a big debate on my page for a while where it was the debate that all cops are bad, and the big debate on my page was, let's say you're a cop and you see another cop doing something wrong. If you don't correct that cop or you don't intervene or you don't do things like this, then you're a bad cop. That's the debate. So
because they think you can just instantly arrest somebody on scene.
Oh, don't get me started with that, bro. That I made a video about that. They think that you could put handcuffs on your partner in the middle of a call and arrest him.
Yeah,
and I'm
it doesn't work that way.
I'm like, listen, legally, yes. I mean, the law states you probably could, but there's procedures within your department. I mean, the other aspect is you're within your duties, right? So you are on the job. You're in your uniform. There's things that cops are allowed to do when that the society is not allowed to do. So it's not for me to say, it's for the leadership. It's for the attorney general. And if a cop does something wrong, all I could do is report it to my supervisor and put it on paper. I can't lock him up. You know what I mean? It's just crazy, some of the things that society thinks.
Yeah. You will ruin a case if you try to do that. And that's the thing, is if it's something because you never know what another cop sees. Let's say I see a cop just punch somebody. I'm like, oh, motherfucker. And I try to have that mindset. I go put him in cuffs and I do all this shit. And then turns out he saw a person with a knife, or just before I seen that, the dude that he just hit had hit somebody else. Like, I'm just putting factors out there. Like, you never know what the other cop perceived in the moment at that time. And that makes a difference. So you do have to kind of let these things play out, because you can ruin a case. And one of the ones I like to bring up, this just happened, is some piece of shit cop that was looking at child pornography or something to that effect, soliciting kids. They ruined a case. They had like 38 different cases on this guy, and it got thrown out because the cops jumped the gun and didn't follow procedure properly. And the cases got thrown out. Now he got fired as a cop. He's not a cop anymore. But that guy should be in prison, and he's not.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy.
That's what we're saying. You can jump the gun on this stuff too quick. And I think there's absolutely times again, a lot of people are like, well, have you ever arrested a cop? I have arrested 4 cops, but this just depends on, they weren't on duty.
Right.
It was different circumstances, obviously. Have you ever seen the video of the officer, the sergeant? He's berating and going hands on with a guy in the back seat. And then a female officer comes up and tries to, Sarge, I got it. And like tries to get in between, and he like grabs her by the throat.
Yeah.
Like, people like to use that one as an example.
They love that one. People comment about that one all the time. I'm like, listen, that's a very rare scenario. And also, what I tell people, this is a prime example. Safety, right? You're in the middle of a police call. You're dealing with citizens. Unless a cop is, in my opinion, putting someone's life in danger and it's unjustified, I'll let that cop dig himself a hole. You know what I mean? I'll pull him aside, when I'm away from the citizen, when we're back at our cruisers, or even after the call. You know what I mean? Like, because listen, if you violate somebody's First Amendment right, or you're not letting them talk, or you're not letting them whatever, that's really not going to hurt somebody. They could still deal with that after the fact to get the cop in trouble. So intervening right that second is not safe, in my opinion. You're going to start an altercation with your coworker, and then you're going to create a safety hazard where you're not watching the citizen, you're fighting with your coworker. Bad things can happen.
And what's to stop him from going, no, I'm arresting you now for trying to arrest me improperly? Like, it's just going to be a back and forth.
Well, that video you just talked about is a prime example. Look at how the guy reacted. You know what I mean? What do you think's going to happen? You're dealing with 2 cops. I mean, sometimes, their egos are a little high. You're in a high tense situation. You don't want to create a problem like that.
A little. I would say, I don't have any research to back this up, but I would say the majority of cops' egos are a little out of control.
Yeah.
So we got some people they're noticing the headband.
Yeah.
So
of course.
We haven't really gotten into your background yet. So if you could, sir, give people a little bit of background on Jay Bandy, let them know where you're from, what you do, and give them all that.
Of course. So I grew up in Connecticut. I was born in Florida, grew up in Connecticut. I'm back down here now in Florida after I retired. And I was a cop for just under like 14 years. All right. I retired medically. I was an active cop. So like I try to tell people, the city I worked in has about 140,000 people. It's in New Haven, Connecticut. People really only know this city for 2 reasons. Pizza, because it's like one of the best pizza in the country. That Dave Portnoy guy, the Barstool guy, his favorite pizza place that he ranked the highest is Sally's, which is on Worcester Street in New Haven, Connecticut. So everybody knows the area for pizza, or they know it for Yale University, because that's where Yale University is. But when I describe it to people and I'm like, hey, Yale University, they think it's like this beautiful place. I'm like, no, it's in the middle of an inner city. Yale was built before this city went bad. You know what I mean? So it's a very violent city. It's typically in the top 10 for the most violent crimes in the country per capita, meaning too much crime for the amount of people that live there. Okay. So I got hired very young. I was around 21 years old, 22 when I got hired. My career was crazy. Okay. And in the beginning of it, it was my fault. I got terminated actually the first year I was on the job. And that was a crazy situation. I could get into it, and but it taught me a lot. And honestly, when I look back at the situation, it was it was probably necessary. I mean, you don't really understand it until later in life, right? You look back, you reflect on your life, and you kind of say, "Hey, man, all these things mattered, and even the bad things matter." And I really truly believe that that situation of me getting in trouble when I was on my first year in the job built me into a better cop. And I made a video about that. How sometimes, cops that got in trouble, those cops are the best cops because they have more empathy. They understand what you're dealing with on the street when you're taking someone's freedom away. You went through the court system yourself. You got arrested yourself. You have a better understanding of what this person you're dealing with is going to go through. And sometimes, in my opinion, that's a great thing because you understand how to deal with the person a little bit better, rather than cops that think they're just above everybody.
Yeah, that's one of our buddies, Detective Matt Thornton. Same thing, same opinion, same. I don't know your exact background story on his, but he also was, I believe, he got arrested, and it was real close to a felony or possible felony, but he managed to get hired onto a department after that. And you look at what he does. Matt he's a saint, man. He has this whole nonprofit where he's working with male juveniles that are wrapped up in gang life and stuff like that, trying to get them off the streets and whatnot. He dedicated his whole damn life to it.
Well, what happens in situations like that is you go one way or the other. It's same thing with criminals. Guys that go to jail, they come out of jail and they either turn their life around or they don't. It's no different than any other person. I mean, listen, we all have a bad day, a bad night that can turn into something that can really follow you forever, unfortunately. But that doesn't necessarily mean that one day or that one night is who you are as a person, and people will always hold that over your head. That's what happened with me. And if you want, I'll get into the story about how I got terminated and why that happened, and then how I came back.
I'm sure people want to hear. Let's go.
Yeah, sure, man. I mean, listen. So I got hired really young, and I had a lot of stuff going on in my personal life as a young kid. And when I look back at 21, 22, my maturity level wasn't even close to where it should be, to handle all the stress that was going on in my life at the time. I was dealing with things I never really dealt with. For example, I was with a girl for 5 years since high school all the way up until I was um, in the police academy. While I was in the police academy, I didn't know this was happening. She was cheating on me with another guy who was her ex-boyfriend, and he was actually just out of jail. He went to jail. He was in there for having a sexual relationship with a minor. He came out, and little did I know, they rekindled behind my back. Now, you guys know the police academy. You're kind of like, you have no time, So I don't really know what's going on outside the police academy. I'm not really focused on that. It takes up all your time. So I don't know what this girl's really doing. Everything seemed normal to me. So long story short, I get out of the academy. I'm on FTO. The first day that I'm supposed to be in a cruiser by myself after graduating FTO, I catch this girl cheating on me with the guy in person. I catch her in person. Literally the night that I catch her during the day. I'm about to go and start my first shift ever by myself in a cruiser that night. So not really the best start for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of stress. I'm handling these emotions that as a kid, really, because you're still a kid at that age. Like, you don't really understand what's going on. You're like you're feeling a lot of emotions that you never really felt before. So long story short, I'm trying to deal with it. I go out there, I'm doing my job, whatever. Now, this girl and this guy, I catch them out. She, tells me, oh, I'm done with him, whatever, trying to still be back with me. Long story short, this guy breaks into my house. At the time, I was living with my mother. I was young. I wasn't home. He breaks into my house with my mother there. Okay, commits a felony, and flees the scene before I could get back to the house. Now the cops do a warrant for him, the whole nine. Little do I know, she's still seeing him behind my back, and they start trying to blackmail me because I end up finding out because I call his parole officer. And the parole officer actually wasn't supposed to tell me this, but she did because she kind of felt bad for the situation. She's like, listen, her and this guy, the guy that was on parole, came into the office not too long ago asking about whether or not he could be around a kid because she's pregnant with his baby. Okay. So I didn't know this. I didn't know she was pregnant, nothing. This is how I found out by his parole officer. because obviously he's a sex offender. Can he be around his own kid if he has a kid? Like, that's what they were trying to figure out. So this is how I find out she's pregnant with his baby. They end up going into IA and making a false complaint about me. Okay. Trying to say that I was harassing them, trying to say that I was, just trying to pull them over and pull him over and do things like this, which I never did any of this. They had no proof of anything. Okay. But the problem was, is I'm brand new. I'm on probation. I'm a rookie. I don't know anybody in the department. It's not like my dad worked there, things like that, which, a lot of people know that sometimes those types of guys, if you're connected, you get taken care of, but me, I had nobody. So not that I would want that anyways. I'm not that type of guy, but when you don't know anybody, there's really nobody to stand up for you. And so in this scenario, I go to IA. They're interviewing me about all her claims, and I didn't do anything. So, but how do I prove this? I got so lucky, man. And I look back at this and I'm like, thank God for a lot of things that happened. One of her friends, she tried to get one of her friends to lie and say that I was, harassing them, doing all the things that she said. The friend came in to get interviewed and actually stuck up for me and said, listen, Jay's a good guy. He never did any of this stuff. And I don't want to see him lose his job. And thank God for that girl, man. I don't know where she is now, but if you ever come across this, thank you, because you saved my career at that aspect. I fucked it up after, but you saved it, okay? Because I could have been fucked right there. So long story short, I get out of that situation. I'm extremely stressed out. Now I'm dealing with another scenario. I was raised by a single mother. My dad was living in Michigan my whole life, and so I have a younger sister, okay, and she's about 5 or 6 years younger than me. At this time, she falls into drugs, okay. So now I'm dealing with the scenario with my ex. I'm dealing with the PD, obviously knowing about all this stuff because the IA and this and that, which is not a good look for me. And obviously, yeah, when you're young like that, you're worried. You're like, man, I just got here. I don't, what the fuck. So you're trying to figure all this stuff out. My sister's on drugs. My mother's stressing me out because she's a single mother trying to deal with that too. It was a disaster. So what happens is this: one day I'm working an extra duty road job, okay, construction job, directing traffic. It's around Halloween. I work with another cop that was a classmate of mine. I'm exhausted. Mentally, I'm drained, bro. Drained. And I worked midnights at the time. So this guy asked me, he's like, hey, man, you want to go out tonight? Now, you're young, you're 20 something years old, like that was the thing, right? Like, you guys know, whether you're in the academy, out of the academy, you get into these little cliques, everybody's kind of going out, and now you're a cop. Now you feel some type of way, whatever. Everybody's, having fun with each other, going out. So he asked me to go out. Initially, I say no. I'm like, listen, dude, I'm tired, man. To be honest with you, bro, I'm drained. I'm gonna call out tonight. I'm gonna call out of work, and I'm just gonna sleep, man. I need rest. So that's what I do. I go home. I call out. I go home. I'm sleeping. This dude calls me again, wakes me up out of sleep. It's like, hey, man, you want to go out? I'm like, dude, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And now I'm awake, and now my mind's going 100 miles an hour, and I just make the stupid decision to go out. And where do I go? I go to the city that I work in, that I'm supposed to be at work at. I make a dumb decision. Now, I never drank in my life, bro, up until this point. I'm really not a drinker. My dad was an alcoholic. Just not something that I really like to do. Never got into it. So I go to a bar. Now, I used to DJ, so I was very, I knew everybody down there. I grew up in that area. I knew all the club owners.
Were you like one of those Jersey Shore guys?
Yeah, I was a kind of a Guido back then. Everybody in that area was, you know what I mean? So yeah, bro. The Northeast, that's the era of the Guidos right there, you know what I mean? So yeah, man, I used to
Jim Tan
DJ and
laundry.
stuff like that.
That's what we do.
For real, dude. So long story short, I'm at the club. I know the promoters of the club, but I don't know the owner. All right. So the people throwing the party, I knew, whatever. The night ends. I get drunk, essentially. Okay. People are just giving me drinks. Now, I'm not blasted to the point where I'm blacked out, but I'm in the bar after hours because of the people that I knew that ran the show that night. So I'm still with the cop that I went with. And I say, hey, listen, I'm going to go to the bathroom. When I get back, we'll leave. I go into the bathroom. Now, I'm pissing on the floor of the bathroom. Okay. I'm next to the urinal, but I'm pissing on the floor. I'm drunk. The whole floor is flooded with piss from the whole night. It's not like I'm the only guy doing it. And yeah, you shouldn't do it at all. And it's not like I did it on purpose. I'm just drunk.
Yeah.
Bouncer comes in, okay? Now the bouncer sees me. He thinks I'm just some guy. He doesn't know that I know anybody there, that I have a reason to be there, whatever. So he starts really kind of coming at me. And now it starts getting aggressive to where it's like, dude, we're gonna go hands on at this point because he's being super aggressive. And I'm trying to tell him, like, listen, dude, I'm taking a piss. I'll be out in a minute, bro. Finally, it gets to the point where I say, listen, dude, like, I'm a cop, all right? Like, I'm trying to just take a piss and be out. When he sees that I'm a cop and I show him my badge, he goes and he gets the cop that's working the front door. There was always a cop that worked these bar jobs.
Yeah.
So this guy was a detective.
So you were drunk and badged him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fucked
Not to
up
be,
already.
I'm not trying. Yeah, of course. I'm
Yeah.
not trying to be like, hey, bro, I'm a, of course this is how they portrayed it, but I'm not trying to like big ball the guy. I just knew like that was my only out at this point. You know what I mean? Like, is to tell him this. Otherwise, he's going to he was a big guy too. He was going to put his hands on me. So he goes to the front door. He gets the detective that's working the front door. Now, I knew this guy, but we didn't know each other personally. Just like, I'm still new on the job. We just knew each other face to face. This guy comes in, starts being a complete dick to me, bro. Okay. And I mean, listen, my personality, the way I've always been my entire life was, just I respect everybody, you respect me. I don't let people talk down to me. I don't care if you're a higher position than me. And this is why I had a lot of problems in my department, because police chiefs tend to, think they can talk to you however they want. And you're still a grown adult. I'm still a man, bro. I'm not a child. You talk to me with respect. And so he's basically disrespecting me. We have words, and I don't allow him to talk to me that way. And essentially I leave. And that was basically what happened. And
So no hands on, no nothing?
no hands on, nothing. 2 hours later at my house, supervisors from my department show up. They show up. They tell me, this guy basically throws me under the bus. He calls the supervisors, whatever. Okay. And there was nothing like I said, nothing was physical. I didn't damage property. I didn't do anything crazy. It was a verbal altercation. That was it. Now, the problem here was that I was supposed to be at work. If I was off duty, I probably nothing would have happened. But because I was supposed to be at work, that was the problem. So long story short, supervisors come. One supervisor was mad cool. The other one was a complete asshole. But that was his personality. Anyways, next day they leave. They take the whole report. I don't hear nothing. Next day I have to go back to work. Before I go to work, I stop back at the bar because the same guy was working. And I said, listen, I'm going to go there. I'm going to be a man. I'm going to apologize and try to straighten this out. So I do that. I stop back at the bar, face to face. I tell him, listen, man, like, I'm sorry about last night. That's not who I am as a person. I had a bad night, whatever. I hope we can, figure this out. This guy looks at me and says, you know what, dude? Too bad. He's like, you could have been a good cop and now you're going to get fucked. Like, basically, this is what he says to me. And I'm just like sitting there. I'm like, all right, I tried to be stand up dude to this guy, be a man and whatever. This is how he wants to be. Okay. I go back to work. Long story short, they do a warrant for me, my own department. They do a warrant for me, and it was kind of ridiculous because I can understand, do the warrant, whatever. The problem now is when this gets out into the media, when a cop when he's out in the media, you're fucked, bro. You're fucked. Okay. Because not that I wasn't wrong. I take accountability for what I've done. But at the end of the day, you know, I've seen people in my department do crazy shit that would, bro. I don't even. I can talk about it for days. But because they knew somebody, because it didn't get out in the media, nothing ever happens to these people. So long story short, they do a warrant for me. They charge me with disorderly conduct, breach of peace, and interfering with an officer. And you know why he charged me with interfering? Now, in other states, it's obstruction, things like that. For us, it's interfering in Connecticut. He charged me that. Now, my name, you can see, is Jay Bandy, okay, with a B. He said that I lied to him about my name and said that my name was Jay Mandy with an M. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, are you kidding me, dude? You charged me with interfering for that? I was intoxicated, or maybe I slurred my word, or you didn't hear me properly. But to try to, I don't even, the fact that they even signed off on that charge is ridiculous in my opinion, because it's clearly one letter. It's not like I gave you an entire fake name. You know what
Right.
I mean? It's
Right.
outrageous. It's outrageous. That charge should not have even been there. Okay. So basically, my face is all over the place. I'm all over the news. Everybody has an opinion about me. Now I'm going to the Board of Police Commissioners to get terminated. This is the first year I'm on the job, man. And I go to the Board of Police Commissioners, I get terminated, you know? Long story short, we file a grievance. It goes up to the state labor board. We sit down up there. We have an arbitration, and it gets turned into a suspension. So essentially, I served a year, almost a year and a half suspension at that point, and I was unpaid the whole time. Whatever, came back to work. Okay. So
Holy
now when I
shit.
yeah,
A
crazy.
year and a half suspension?
Oh, it was wild, bro. And then when I came back, I had to sign an agreement, a last chance agreement for another year, which meant that when I came back to work, I had to be on point, bro, because they can fire me for anything, dude.
Yeah.
You know, and I
You were,
signed it because
you were
what am I
call
gonna do?
taking and taking reports. That's it.
Oh, dude, it was well, you know, like listen, for me, I came back and I said I need to prove myself now. You know, like yes, I need to stay, you know, I need to stay straight, but and I can't get in trouble, but I need to prove myself that this
Yeah.
isn't the guy that I am. Okay. Now, when I come back, the police chiefs are like, this one specifically is like, oh, you know, they tell you you know, they act like they're gonna give you every opportunity you deserve, and this, that, you're gonna be treated like every other cop, blah, blah, blah. It's literally what they say to me. Doesn't happen, of course. My entire career, they fucked with me. My entire career, they held this over my head. Okay. It was insane. All right. As well as the fact that I was a guy that, like I said, I don't like if you're a chief and you're corrupt or you're doing bad things, or I'm watching how you treat people and I'm watching who you are as a leader, and you're not doing the right things, but then you're coming down on everybody else. I have a problem with that. Okay. And I understand that I did something wrong, but at the end of the day, what did I do that the most of society does? I had a bad night. I went out, I got drunk, I called out of work. You know, I didn't hurt people. I didn't intentionally, you know, go do bad things. I didn't steal, lie, cheat. You know, like and this is what I tell people. The way I live my life is this: you can be whoever that you want to be out there. Be any type of person you want to be. But I truly believe that the one thing you should not do is have victims of your life. Okay. So go out there, be whoever you want. You know, yeah, I'm all tatted up. I got face tattoos. You know, like you could judge me if you want, but you know, that doesn't make me a bad person. What makes you a bad person if you're having victims of your life, you're doing bad things to people. Okay. So I I come back to work and I essentially it's crazy. I'll tell this story because I told it on my podcast. The first motor vehicle stop. This is the first day that I come back to work. I'm in uniform. I pull a car over, and I'm like, all right, I got to get back into it. I need to get back into the field. You know what I mean? So like, I'm out there, whatever. I see a violation. I pull this guy over.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Before we go that far.
Yeah.
Okay. We got Sergeant Levine's got to come out. Okay. So
Okay.
I will say, you being on probation, you getting drunk and badging, that's problems. Your ass deserved to be fucking slapped down for that.
Of course.
However, given the circumstances, you absolutely lived a human moment. You lived, your girl's cheating on you. You're in the academy. Any military guy is going to be able to, to resonate with that a little bit, right, Banning?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, you know, you're out there overseas and she's with Jody back home. Like that's a real thing. So in that, and who hasn't done that shit? I have peed in the wrong places. I can tell you that. So I get that. You didn't go hands on. Fair enough. But you know, you being on probation, you're already walking on eggshells. So absolutely. And I do agree with the fact, like when we do get slapped down, that is absolutely does make better cops if they choose to learn from it. So I agree with that. So we have had some questions and stuff popping through the comments as we've been going. I wanted to let you flow through, but I want to take a break in the story for a second. The big one's the tattoos. So you just brought that up. Were those a thing before getting in?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, well, listen, I was pretty heavily tatted when I got hired. I had sleeves already. I had my chest done. I didn't have my neck, hands, things like that. Our department, believe it or not, had no tattoo policy. Okay, which was very rare. Most police departments have them, and there was a lot of cops that had tattoos. I was probably the most heavily tattooed cop in that department, and probably of all time in that department.
I think ever, anywhere.
Yeah. So long story short, I started, continuing my tattoos, like end up getting everything all the way up to my neck, hands, everything. So I was tatted up. Um, as I was stating earlier, these chiefs made my career hell. Okay. No matter what I did, it didn't matter if I went out and got 20 guns that day. They fucking hated me. You know what I mean? Like all they wanted to do was try to bully me to push me out, but they couldn't push me out because I was good at my job. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I had a bad night, but I was good at my job. So I didn't have complaints against me. I didn't have violations. I wasn't, violating use of force and all this stuff and doing bad things. I was good at my job. And the courts knew that too, based on my cases. So they really couldn't get rid of me. Their only way to was to try to stress me out as much as they can to try to make me resign or push me out. And that's what they do to a lot of people. It's sad. And I seen it and I hated it. And that's why I pushed back at them, because I was tired of it. And it wasn't necessarily, and we'll get to the tattoo thing because this all goes into that. I fought against these corrupt police chiefs and how they treated people and how they acted and stuff, because I would see the best cops, man, getting fucking railroaded, bro. Getting treated like shit, hating the job, hating their life when they're coming there doing the right things every single day. And I was tired of it. So I fought a lot against the chiefs, but a lot of it wasn't just for me. It was for the whole department and for the future of that department. So what happens is this: they would screw me out of everything. I would get picked for undercover units by every single boss that was running the unit. I would put in for FTO. I would put in for everything, man, and they would deny me because how it worked was the chiefs. The let's say I put in for the narcotic unit. The head of the narcotic unit interviews everybody. He picks who he wants. He has a list. I was number one on the list every time because that's what I did. Guns and drugs. That's what I did. I
You
did
look
everything
like
else.
you do guns and drugs.
That's what I like to do. I mean, listen, I liked it, bro. I liked it.
I mean, let's call it is what it is. You
yeah,
look
for sure,
you
for
look
sure.
like you
But
belong as a mob boss. I'm just saying.
But what's funny is my look actually helped me as a cop in an inner city, because think about it.
Yeah.
When you have this military-esque like flat top white cop going into an urban area, they fucking hate those guys, man.
Right
They
away.
hate those guys.
Mhm.
You know how many times like people, like I would walk into a scenario, it would be chaotic, and people would see me and they would look at me and then they would just start talking to me about my tats, stuff like this, whatever. Like people get drawn to that. Okay. If you are a little bit more unique than the normal cop, people are drawn to you. And
Yep.
I found that is something that happens, especially in inner
Mhm.
cities. Okay.
Yeah.
So my
I
tattoos helped me.
run my mouth. Like you don't get to cut on people for free around me. And that was the way that I earned respect real quick, because
Yeah.
where I grew up in Flint, like you either had to know how to fight or be fast. And I was fast with my mouth and even faster with my feet because I couldn't fight. So I could talk shit and be gone.
Yeah.
That was the thing. And you're right. As a cop, like I remember where I work at now, like going over to the more east side urban area of where I work, it was in 10 minutes. I had earned respect with my very first call, because somebody tried to they called me out. They're like, "Oh, look at this fucking rookie, da 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 da," and start guys like, "I know you ain't trying to talk with them 18-year-old shoes," like just hitting them up.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, "What'd you do? Draw that Nike symbol on there with a marker? Who are you trying to fuck with?" And right away they're like, "Oh shit!" And they're like, "All right, we'll fuck with Levine. He's good." And so just messing with people, having the mouth, and you're right, having the tattoos, that's gonna stand out. I wish we had Matt Thornton on today. If we would have had Matt, like you two would probably, your stories are very similar as far as.
I'd love to get on. I'd love to get on again with him, man. I think like bouncing off with a guy like that would be really.
Yeah, I'll get him. Yeah, because you guys, I mean, your stories of fucking up early in life and then redeeming yourself and then having a great career, very similar. And I think a lot of people, if they wait and they give time to hear the story, that's the hard part on these formats is people hear the story, they start hearing it and they don't want to hear it. They're like, no. But if you just stick and listen, guys, just have a human moment and listen to people. Yeah, I think it's worth sticking around. But I want to get to this comment. This was a good comment. He said, what's everyone's position on treason charges when rights are violated considering an oath is taken to uphold the Constitution? Do you think a civilian oversight might correct some of the problems? So first and foremost, I do hear the treason threat thrown around quite a bit. Treason doesn't fit. If somebody violates your rights, that's not treason. That's just not what treason is. Treason isn't treason's when you're going against your government. And it doesn't fit. Banning, you got something to add on that?
No, I mean, it's just when you get a rights violation, I mean, it can be civil and criminal. And if you arrest or if you stop that peace officer at that time, you're probably not going to have enough to get a conviction, as we were very early off in this podcast when we started. And we spoke about this on several of the shows. But we have got to be able to get all the evidence necessary to get somebody that's going to violate somebody's rights, what I call buried under the jail. And if you arrest that person right then, your IA, your investigative division, whoever's going to carry that role, they're not going to be able to have all the evidence they need to present to the district attorney for what they need to be able to do this. And then the civil side's going to get shat on as well. So we want to be able to do a good investigation. Now, we have an officer, let's turn that around. You have an officer that's physically doing something to somebody. Yes, you have a duty to intervene. And I have intervened. I think Eric may have intervened in his career. I can't speak onto that, but I have physically intervened. I mean, you're not going to sit there and violate somebody in front of me, regardless of rank on somebody's sleeve. And though that's looked down upon, and I may not get a promotion later on for doing that, but what we take an oath to, you know, our buddies at work, yeah, we're there to protect them. But when you violate or cross that gray line and you go into somebody else's and you get physically drawn in and do something, and then if you jump in and do that, they're going to bury both of y'all into the jail.
Is your dog snoring?
This is probably my dog. I got two French bulldogs, bro. It's talk about snoring, man. No, he just jumped up.
I was like, I recognize that noise. That's a dog snoring.
Yeah, Frenchies, bro. No, but to touch on what you said, like you're right. My whole thing was this. I wanted every officer to know in that department, don't do fucked up shit around me. You know, just because if that's the character you give off and that's what people know, then they're gonna know better. Like if they're a cop that's working with you, or you're working with them all the time, or whether it's just for that shift, that your reputation will get around. That you are a stand-up dude. You know how to do the job. You do it right. You don't need to violate people's rights to do it right. And once you gain that reputation, the majority of the department is going to know, don't fucking do dumb shit around him, bro, because he's not going to tolerate it. And that's the type of cop that, in my opinion, you should want to be. You shouldn't care whether or not, oh man, I'm not going to get a promotion now if I do this. Like those type of cops to me are weak. If you can't, I tell people this all the time. Okay. And this is why when I push back against the police chiefs and stuff like this, whatever, as a cop, our whole job really is to go out and stand up for society. It's to stand up for people who can't do things themselves or need our ability to do it. So if you don't have the balls to stand up for yourself as a human being and do the right thing, then how good are you going to be as a cop? Because your whole job is to stand up for other people. And if you don't care to do it for yourself, then how much do you really care to do it for someone you don't know?
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And another thing I like to point out to people is like, we can't do it by ourselves either. We need your help. We absolutely do. If we try to do it alone, then it does become very one-sided, and it ends up being not what we need for society. And vice versa. If y'all try to do it by yourselves, well then, holy shit, look what happened in Chaz. I think they just tried to do it again in Minnesota. Like they tried to create a free zone is what they called it. And they weren't having it this time.
Like the movie or the show The Wire when they did that.
Yes.
You ever watch that?
Yes. Oh, The Wire.
It's funny. I tell people the only two shows that I think are really probably
accurate.
The most accurate cop
Southland and The Wire.
Yeah, exactly, bro. 100%. Exactly.
Yep. Dude. Southland is so spot on. Just the whole dichotomy of how we treat each other and the way that, very much so. And to go back to the treason thing again, like I said, I put it in the text or in the chat, but There's already a law for what you guys are talking about. If you intentionally violate somebody's rights under the color of law, that is what that is. It's a what's it? I think it's called deprivation of rights. That's
Yes.
what it's
Yep.
called. So
100%.
deprivation of rights is already, you're defining a law that exists. It's not treason. So trying to make it something it's not, that's just not how it works. Treason has its own definition and it doesn't fit.
But this is where we this is why we do what we do on social media, because look at society. They make comments like this, and listen, we understand why you guys don't really know the law the way we do, or the way others might. But this is why we come out here and we do this stuff on social media and try to teach you guys. And a lot of people get mad at us and still tell us we're wrong and stuff. But at the end of the day, most of society is never taught the law. They're never taught any type of education on policing, how to deal with the police, how, what happens when you get arrested, all this stuff. And that's a prime example right there.
Yeah. Lawful X said Brooklyn Nine-Nine is also close to accurate. Too funny.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. To be honest, it is. I tell people, you know what I tell people that the job really was? It's like being back in high school times 1,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like all the drama within the police department. Who's having sex with who? Who's cheating on who? All this bullshit that's going on, just times 1,000, because now you're adults and you have egos now and you have badges and everybody thinks that they're the best of the best. It's crazy.
Yeah. Looking at comments, Fistriel said, police should understand that we have a duty to protect and defend our Constitution. Stop breaking laws, guys. 100%. I'm with you. I don't think you're going to get anybody to disagree with you up here.
Of course, yeah. What does he mean by that? Does he mean that we're breaking laws and we're
not us
violating
personally, but when we see, like, you see all these cops getting in trouble for flock recently, and it's a big rights violation. So shit like that. So I understand and agree, but it's got to fit in the conversation. But I'm looking at the comments some more. They're going crazy right now. So most cops, problem is most cops don't protect our rights, and majority don't know our constitutional given right.
I hear that all the time. That's what people say all the time on the comments on social media, that we don't know the law. They say that we have no idea about the law.
It depends on what they mean. Do I think what's that, Banning? Sorry, go ahead.
We're not attorneys. We're not claiming to be attorneys.
That's a great point.
Yeah, we don't know them verbatim. I don't know.
Right.
I tell people all the time. I was like, look, I know this guy broke a law. Do I know which law it is? No. I know the elements. I know you took something that didn't belong to you. Okay, we have theft of some sort. What type of theft? He's got 3 or more credit cards that don't have his name on it, and I know that's a felony something. What is that? And then I go look it up, and
exactly.
Like I have to find it out. But what gets cops in trouble is they don't even take the time to find out the fucking law.
Yeah. Well, think about this. Like, people want to compare professions all the time, and they bring up doctors, they bring up stuff. I've been to the doctors where a doctor, he's prescribing me something and he has to look it up. It's no different. There's millions of prescriptions, there's millions of laws. It's the same situation. We don't, we learn what we learn in the police academy. And I tell people, people want to compare. I got this comparison a lot. A hairdresser or a barber goes to school longer than a cop does. And I'm like, yeah, but they're not having reoccurrent training. It's not like once you get your barber, because I have my barber license and I've went to both schools, and I'm not going to school every year to do barbering, where cops every year we have to have training over and over and over again, numerous times.
But one of the things we suck at is constitutional training. This is one of the things I point out all the time. We swore an oath to something that we don't even fucking know.
Ask him the question, Eric.
Yeah. How, Jay, in your policing experience, how much constitutional training did you receive after the academy?
Very little, to be honest. The academy, we learn it, and then every year we have training, but unless something is changing in the Constitution, which never does, obviously, right? They're not reiterating it, So you have to do your own research. You have to know it yourself. And I think a lot of cops get lazy. They don't, once they're on the job, they think they know everything.
Yeah.
Things, and don't get me wrong, things are repetitive. So, you go to work every day. It's like any other job. If you're doing the same calls and this and that, whatever, And that's how the majority of policing is. Like, people think that we're coming across the crazy call all the time.
Like the
A lot of
unique
it's
shit. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of it's repetitive, domestics, things like this. You're dealing with the same charges all the time. But when it comes to the Constitution, you're not really looking that thing over all the time. But the specific ones, the Fourth Amendment, the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, things like that pretty well. But how often are you really like reading that stuff? Probably not that much.
That's what I'm saying. And that is more often than not, the two things that get us in trouble the most is ego. That's number one. And then the Constitution. Look at all these, like I said, with failure to ID. I got called here, so I have a right to see your ID. It's not how that fucking works.
No, you have to have a lawful reason.
Yeah. Have to have reasonable, articulable suspicion of a crime.
Right.
It's like that's that's how we have to start out. And then, depending on your state, like in Texas, you have to be under arrest, or it has to be a lawful traffic stop. That's the only time we're entitled to your ID. That's
really
it.
So even if, like, for example, if you have reasonable suspicion, you can't ask them.
You can.
Wait, you have to. Okay.
I can always ask.
You said arrest.
I can't demand it. They don't have to provide it. No, that's a big misconception. People are like, no, they got to provide it if you have reasonable articulable suspicion of crime. Not in Texas. In Texas, I need you be under arrest, or it's a lawful traffic stop. That's the only time that I can force you to ID.
That's interesting.
And in order to get the charge of failure to ID, which is a secondary offense. You see cops fuck this up all the time. Even in your stop and ID states, which having RAS, I guess, works in other states. I don't know how, personally. I don't know how that works. But I can tell you in Texas, it doesn't work that way.
But you also have to look at, Eric, is the DAs are also accepting some of these BS things. Yeah. And these are actually going to court. And then everybody's getting embarrassed when you have the jury up there, you have a judge up there, and you're not meeting the elements of the offense for A, B, and C. And it's where's the recourse on that? Why are we not educating our DAs on this? Why are we not going back and pushing through our legislative updates when we're doing these legislative updates? Okay, now we're going to look at the Constitution as well.
So. And there's so many other, like Pens versus Mims. Somebody brought it up in the comments, and that drives me insane because we as cops abuse the shit out of it, and I hate it. I hate that we take a good tool that had good intention. If nobody's familiar with Pennsylvania v. Mims, is basically a cop saw a gun in a car, pulled them out, and then the court decision was whether or not it was unconstitutional to pull them out of the vehicle. Now, the officer was doing it for a safety reason. However, the court's decision on that was, is it unreasonable or reasonable inconvenience of your Fourth Amendment to be pulled out of the car? It had no ruling was made about officer safety. And that's where the court's fucked up, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So the spirit, we'll put it that way, the spirit of that law was based on officer safety. And to me, if I'm going to go with the spirit of the law, which I think we should be doing, I need to have some sort of articulable reason for safety. I can't just use, well, for officer safety, I need you to get out of the vehicle, because that's anything. I could make up anything. I need to have some articulable suspicion to pull.
But that's what they're doing, really. That's what you see cops doing a lot.
Is right? They're just it's a blanket statement. Pennsylvania v. Mims, Maryland v. Wilson for passengers. And I'm like, no, you need to have something. It's already a stretch.
Let me ask you this as a supervisor. You were talking about how cases get to court and we get embarrassed there.
Yeah.
But you're a supervisor, right? So, I mean, in a lot of departments, I'm not sure how yours works, but I'm a patrolman. I write a report. Supervisor has to read that report, and he has to approve that report.
Right.
So if you see a report and now obviously you have to review body camera footage too.
Yep.
So if you don't see the probable cause, if you see the cop do something that fucks that whole case up, what are you doing as a supervisor? Because what are these other supervisors doing that these cases are getting to court?
Now you're hitting the fucking nail on the head, because the biggest problem with policing today is the supervisor, or lack thereof. Fucking supervision. The sergeant is the branch. It is the bridge. It's exactly what I talk about when I'm talking about two cops, one donut being the bridge between us and the community. You want to know the biggest failing part in policing? It's the goddamn sergeants not doing their job supervising, because it is not your job to be their friend. Your job is to now review body cam footage at random. Make sure they're doing their job when they think you're not paying attention. You need to read their fucking reports and make sure they have PC. And if you're a supervisor reading it, you need to know what PC is, because now we have people promoting up the chain too fast. They didn't even know how to be a cop themselves, and now they're looking at other cops telling them how to be fucking cops. I'm out of breath.
Yeah. Don't get me started. Don't get me started with the promotional process. I talk about that all the time, how, most of society doesn't understand how people rise up these ranks. And they think that when they see people, have a higher rank, that they're the best of the best. It doesn't work that way.
No.
A lot of cops, what I tell people is this: there's a lot of cops that come into the department, they see how hectic the job is, they see how scary it is, this and that, whatever, and they might not be built for it, but they also don't want to give up the job. They don't want to give up the benefits, the money. So they sit in their cruisers and they, we call them slugs. I don't know what you guys call shit cops, but we call them slugs. And there'll be a slug for 3 years, 5 years, until they could take that promotional test. And now they take the promotional test, and the way the promotional test works is you just have to be good at test taking. You take that test. If you're number 1 on that test, it's federal law that they can't pass you up. So what happens? The shittiest cops are rising to the top.
Yeah.
What's funny is when they get up there, they're starting to enforce things on lower guys. We saw them doing throughout the entire time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. One of my favorite things is you've got chiefs and deputy chiefs and stuff that have never worn a body camera in patrol. And then they're judging you based on, because like I'll give mine as an example. This didn't happen to me personally, but I've seen it at other departments. But I worked in entertainment district, right? There's people pouring out of bars all over the place. I'm talking thousands in the street. You're walking down the sidewalk. I did a lot of foot patrol. I'm walking down the sidewalk, and then a fight breaks out right next to me. My body cam's not going. I'm not on a call. And then I'm in the middle of trying to break this up, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I got to turn my camera on. Get it all broken up. All of a sudden, somebody complains later on. They were drunk and they misunderstood what happened, and they're thinking that we did something. Turns out they got blasted by some random citizen that was trying to jump in on the fight that we didn't see. And they're saying the cops hit him or something like that. And now you've got people up top trying to, well, you didn't have your body camera on. You should know to have that turned on. You had a call happen right in front of you. You wanted me to turn that motherfucker on right in the middle of some shit that just happened in front of me? Like, I'm fast, but I ain't that fast. And now I'm of the old school where I went from we didn't have body cams to where we did. The kids today, young officers today, that's all they know. Yeah. And they're really good. They're really good at turning that shit on right away. Like when shit happens right in front of them. I remember like even some of my own guys, I'm like, oh, you probably don't have body cam footage from this one, do you? But we had a few city cameras and a few bar cameras that caught it really well. And like, no, my camera was on. I was like, how the fuck did you turn that on so quick? Like, instinct, sir. Like, that's just instinct. They've programmed themselves to turn their camera on that quick. I love that.
Yeah.
But yeah, sure. But when we were talking, I don't want to leave this supervisor thing right now because that shit. I'm very passionate about the supervisor position. And I've told people my job is one, to make my expectations very clear from the beginning. So if I step in and I'm Jay and Banning are my new 2 officers. I have you in the office. I talk to you individually. And I say, before we get started, I'm Sergeant Levine. Here's my expectations. Go down the line of what my expectations are, depending on the unit I'm in. If it's just patrol, you're gonna have your body cams operational every shift all the time. If you get into something, I want you to call me to the scene. If you don't have an answer, you're going to call me to the scene. You are not going to handle things with a wild ass guess. And you're going to what's another one? My job, and I tell them this, my job is to get you the tools you need to be successful. So you tell me what you need. because that's my job to get it. Now it's got to obviously be realistic. Don't ask me for take-home cars because I can't make that happen. So, but really, that's it. I get you the tools you need to be successful. If that's a new body cam, my body cam's beat up, Sarge. I need a new one. Okay, I got it. You keep using that one till I get you the new one, but I'm on that. I'll get you a new body camera, or your radio's a little messed up, or your patrol car's been acting wonky. Like, let's take that in. Let's get it fixed. If they need a email from the Sarge to make that happen, I'll do it. But that's my job. And then to filter the bullshit coming in from the top. And hold my guys accountable. My job's to teach. I should always be teaching. Even when you fuck up, like, it's okay. You fucked up. We're going to own it. I want you to be honest about it, but we can deal with this. Is it a mistake of the heart, or is it a malice mistake? Like, those are different things.
Yeah.
So
let me ask you a question as a supervisor, because for me, I never wanted to be a supervisor. Maybe because, a lot of it was probably because of how my career was and this and that, whatever, and the target I had on my back from the Chiefs and stuff. But in our department, it's like, the second you become a supervisor, you lose that seniority. Now you're at the bottom, and you have to you're at the mercy of them doing whatever they want with you, basically, Right. So for me, once I'm in a cushy position and I know these guys fuck with me, if I became a supervisor, they were going to put me in the worst fucking place. They were going to really ride me. It was going to suck. You know what I mean? So for me, I never really wanted that. I also didn't want the responsibility of being responsible for all these other fucking cops. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because now you're responsible for all these guys, and there's a lot of fuck ups, to be honest.
Yeah.
There are a lot of guys that I don't want to be responsible for. They're idiots. You know what I mean? So, but when you as a supervisor are dealing with guys higher up than you, like the chiefs, the lieutenants, the whoever else is you have in your department, and they're riding your ass, and it's something you don't necessarily agree with, how do you handle that?
So, a couple things to tackle on that. One, I've made it very clear that my whole goal is to improve policing, to help fix the fuck ups and stuff like that, but also help facilitate the really good things out there. If I think that we have some really good police practices, I want to get that out there, because one officer doing something really awesome, maybe he's the only one in his little fishbowl that knows about it. And that's no bueno. We need to get that shit out there. Vice versa, if they're doing some dumb shit, like, I want everybody to learn from those types of mistakes. So I can either be a part of the problem or part of the solution, as I like to say. So for me, that's why I wanted to be a supervisor. I eventually was like, I can't sit at the officer level and see all these problems and not affect change. I can't affect much change as an officer. I can try. I can deal a little bit, but if I really want to have a better chance of that, I need to step up to the supervisor level. And that's what I did. So to address your second part, I've been very lucky. I have not had much shitty top end experience. Most of the people, even when they have tried to pass down some bullshit, I told them, I'm like, I don't morally or ethically agree with what you're saying, and here's why. And to that effect, that's worked. Like, so I can't say that never happens, because it has happened even at my own department, where somebody's passed down a verdict, if you will, on something. I'm like, that's fucking crazy, but it didn't have anything to do with me.
Yeah,
I didn't have a horse, on that. There's nothing I could have done. So, but in my lane, ever since I've been a supervisor, I've been very blessed with very good leadership and people willing to hear me out. And I think that goes into supervision as well. Sometimes you don't know how to talk to people, and you can't, you just fucked your guy over because you decided to die on a mountain that you didn't need to die on. If my guy fucks up, he fucks up. I had a guy look up, we had a new system and a new program that he was trying to figure out. And he's like, I don't know what what will this let me look up and what will it not let me look up? And so he looked up something that he tested, and it let him do it. Well, that flags it. So now I get the flag, and I'm like, what the fuck did you do? Like, you can't do that, dude. And so I bring him in the office. I was like, hey, I love you. Tell me the story behind this. What happened? I just was trying to test the parameters. I wasn't trying to look up anybody that I wasn't supposed to or anything like that. He's like, I just didn't know what it would let me do and wouldn't let me do. And it was, I think it was something dumb, like a past president, something like that. It's not even alive, but he tried it, and it didn't work. I mean, it tried to work, but it flagged it, obviously. And so I'm like, dude, you're gonna get some days off. I was like, I can tell you that. I was like, this could actually get you fired. Just be ready. I was like, but you were honest. You told me exactly what you did. You didn't try to hide it. I was like, all three of those things are what we want in a cop. I don't mind an honest mistake and an explainable mistake. Why you did what you did and who you looked up. It all made sense. Okay, cool. You're just trying to test the parameters of this system. You're stupid. You shouldn't have done that. I'll be honest with you. But and we went through it, and he did. He got suspended, took his licks, came back, better officer. And he warns other officers, don't do dumb shit. This is why. And then you go through all of it. So just like you said, man. That's how I do that.
I think like with supervisors, like from my standpoint too, like you have obviously different types, right? You have different types of personalities all over that job, but you have supervisors like yourself where you really want to help, you really want to teach, you don't want to really, you're not trying to hurt anybody at the end of the day. But then there's the guys, and I mean, I don't know what your department's like, but then you have some guys that, man, it's like you feel like that's all they're out to do is to try to fuck over a street cop. Those type of supervisors I feel like are a big problem within police departments. And I think that, like, for me, I'll give you an example. I had a supervisor who was an old school Italian guy. All right. And we knew that he always had our back, but we also knew that if we fucked up, that, he was going to tell us, and he would help us and stuff, but he's not going to cover up for us and stuff. But at the end of the day, he was a stand-up guy. He went to bat for us when the chiefs were trying to fuck with me and do bad things and stuff like that to me. He went to bat. He would go and literally get into arguments with these guys. And to me, I look at somebody like that and I'm like, wow, man, that's a stand-up guy. That's a guy that has a backbone. To me, that's a real cop. That's a guy that's willing to do the right thing. You know what I mean? No matter what the scenario is. Like, you have a chief and you have a boss that's higher up than you that is coming down and trying to fuck with your officers. And he knows that if you fuck with my officers, it's going to fuck with me, because now you're going to take good cops out of my area. You're going to disgruntle them, and they're going to not want to work as hard. It's going to fuck up what I'm doing out here, and it creates a mess.
Yeah.
And, he was very good. So, for example, like, honestly, when he became lieutenant, that's a guy that you're going to want to work for. Okay. And then when you fuck up, you feel bad, you know what I mean? Because you don't want to disappoint him. That's the guy you're going to work really hard for. And when he became lieutenant, me and my partner, he brought us into the substation, and he sat there and he opened a bottle of whiskey. Now, in our department, we have a rule that says, like, on your lunch break, stuff like that, you can actually have one drink. That's how. But you want to know why? You want to know why they have these rules? Just like I touched back. What department I work? I work for New Haven, Connecticut. But
Mark Fire was asking.
But what happens is the reason why we have general orders like that is because these police chiefs get into these positions. They don't do anything. They just want to ride out their chief position so that everything's hunky-dory, so that they can retire and go get a good gig without any problems. So they don't make change. That's why policing, in my opinion, doesn't really change much, because the top is not really doing anything to make change, because they're really worried about their retirement, getting a retirement gig, not really ruffling feathers in that department. So, for example, these general orders, like, how do you not have a tattoo policy? And to go back to the tattoo thing, yes, I tattooed my face when I was a cop, not this headband, okay? But I did tattoo this. I have the Detroit Tiger symbol on my side over here, because my dad's from Flint, Michigan. And so, yeah, man. But I got away with it. They tried firing me, actually, for my tattoos, and I fought them. The story's crazy. I fought them all the way to the end. And it started with 5 chiefs. We had an abundance amount of chiefs. And when we got to the end, where they actually brought me in front of the police commissioners to fire me, only 2 of them showed up, because these guys don't even like each other at the top. You know what I'm saying? So it's a mess. But that's why, like, those general orders, they're not doing anything. They're the same from when the department, like, was created, because these guys are not doing anything at the top or actually making change and actually re-advising things, you know?
Yeah. Just looking at the comments, I had put up there, one angry guy said, "See, you guys aren't even talking about relevant issues like yourselves. You're purposely skirting the issues. I would like to know what issues we're skirting, because the whole point of the format of today's show is Jay. That's the point
Yeah,
of
what
the
do you want to
show.
know, bro?
So we are talking about Jay and what Jay wants to talk about. Now, you've never been a part of our show, so you may not be familiar with our format. Once we get past about the hour and a half, 2 hour mark, then we start bringing in some other stuff. We'll talk about whatever hot topics are going on. We'll bring in some hot videos that have gotten a lot of engagement from our platform, and then see what our guest has to say about those, which are typically hot topics and issues. However, there's a lot of comments that are going through and we can't see them all. So if we miss something, well, the best way to get some sort of eyes on your stuff is you can do a super chat. You can do something like that if it really is something that you need to get across. Otherwise, like, you're just a part of the group and we get to people's comments as we see them. So it is what it is. This is not a boring sit still chat that only a couple things pop up once in a while, if you haven't noticed. So I love that you're passionate. You obviously have a passion for this, but this is your first impression of us and you're trying to come to conclusions that you haven't earned. So it is what it is. Let's see. Luna Lover's in the house. What's up, Luna? Nina's out there. What's up, Nina? She says, hello, 2 cops, 1 donut. Banning Jay. What's going on, Nina? Let's see. What's this other one? Mark Fire. He's the one that wanted to know what department you worked at. He said, do you think police departments could educate the media a little better? 100%. I think that the police should be putting out more educational things about what's out there. I mean, shit, we even just talk about Flock a little bit. That's a big thing. What you giggling about over there, Banning?
I'm reading some comments and people asking, what do we think about First Amendment auditing? And
love it.
We love it.
I love it.
For those of you that have seen this before, and I think there's a couple of you in here, this may be your first time, and welcome. As you can see, we don't just kick people out, but no, we have some OG First Amendment auditors on here.
I like when it's done. I like when there's, okay, let me preface this. I think First Amendment auditing exposed a very large gap in police training, because we were grossly undertrained on all of that. And when it first really hit the streets with like Long Island Audit and some of the, Jeff Gray and who's some San Joaquin Valley Transparency, some of these old school guys that were like the first to, like, I never even heard the term First Amendment auditor, exposed that us as cops didn't even understand that people had a right to film in public on a public place. We didn't even understand how to explain what a public place was. Talk about trespassing. We screwed up trespassing a lot, not understanding that. So to me, I didn't necessarily, like, there's some First Amendment auditors out there, or self-proclaimed First Amendment auditors. I don't care for their style. They're just instigating. Yeah. They're out there for some clicks and likes. And okay,
there you go.
Their own. My thing is, even though I don't like it, my feelings don't trump their rights. They got the right to do it, but I can call you an asshole for the way that you did it. Mm-hmm. I don't like it. But I shared a video the other day. They ambushed a cop getting out of his personal vehicle. Not ambushed, but we're filming, and that cop fucked up. He immediately, he's in uniform. He's getting out of his vehicle. Maybe it wasn't. Yeah, it was his personal vehicle. And he's all butthurt that they're filming, and they're not doing anything. They're just talking shit while they're doing it.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I said right away, but guess what? What the cop was trying to do was wrong. Tried stepping up into his bubble, trying to intimidate him with his looks, and then also tell him he doesn't have a right to do what he was doing when he did. And the cops standing around him all knew it. And they supported, they told him afterwards. I wish they would have done it right then and there. They're like, dude, like, he's got a right to film you. There's nothing we can do. So what do you say, Jay?
I love this topic, because what I'm seeing going on in social media is it could be great. It could be very bad for policing. It depends on what's happening. Okay. So my experience and what I'm seeing here is this. Yes, you have the First Amendment auditors, and if they're doing it for the right reasons and they're being somewhat professional and things of that nature, I'm all for it. All right, like you said, we have to respect. At the end of the day, we're all human beings. We all have the same rights. Doesn't matter if you're a cop or not. Okay, so you have to respect those rights, and that's why I get what these guys are out here doing. Now, on the other end, social media. This is a way different era of policing. Okay,
Oh, for sure.
generations. Yeah, the generations are changing. Social media is a massive aspect to every area of life and profession. Now, what I'm seeing on social media is a big problem, and what I mean by this is you have people who obviously they love clout. They know that this is going to get them attention. They know it's going to get them clicks, views. It's going to possibly make them money. And I even see some attorneys doing stuff like this where they're creating pages, and it's specifically like cop bashing pages or cop hating pages, which is fine. You have the right to do that. But what they're doing is they're skewing the minds of people. Okay, they are editing these videos. They aren't showing the full interaction. They're and then they're sitting there telling people, "Oh, this cop is wrong." But the reality is they might not be wrong because we don't see the entire interaction. Some of the times the cop really isn't wrong at all, but unless you are educated on the law, you don't know that. So now what's happening is you're getting people that are watching these videos, and they're going out into society, they're having an interaction with a cop, and now they think that what they watched is the truth.
Yeah, they
And
get
now
themselves in trouble.
they get themselves in
Yeah.
trouble. Okay, and that's scary for society. That's why we come on here, and on my page I try to show people, like, don't believe everything you hear. Okay, or that
Yeah.
why I do certain reaction videos to tell them, like, hey, this cop is actually right. He's not wrong in what he's doing. You might not agree with how he acted or something, but legally he is not wrong. And you guys need to know that, because if you're watching videos that are skewing your mind, you're going to go out there, get pulled over, and now you're going to be like, and I see this all the time. A cop asks for ID. I don't need to give you my ID. You know what I mean? Like, or I don't need to do this. I don't need to do that. Like, and you do. Like, you don't understand. You do. As long as it's a lawful stop. He explained it. Whatever. You
Yeah.
do. Okay. And I think that this is going to be a big problem for the future. And my opinion is this: I think that eventually there's going to be a situation where they create legislation and stuff like this for social media. Because what they're going to start to see is this. Yes, there's people who get into altercations with cops and they film and whatever. But then there's people that are purposely looking for those. They're looking to rage bait cops, stuff like this. So eventually what I think is going to happen, I think courts are going to start, if cops start locking people up for this, like, obviously, there's certain stipulations where, let's say somebody's rage baiting a cop and it gets way too crazy. Now you could get them on disorderly or whatever, or, you know what I mean? Now, I'm not saying that's something you need to do or you should do. You should have thick skin as a cop and just whatever. But, obviously not every cop acts that way. Now the courts are going to start getting flooded with cases like this. And I think what they're going to start doing is they're going to start looking at people's social medias, and they're going to say, hey, is this a pattern? Are you doing this intentionally, or is this just an isolated incident? And if you're building a whole platform on rage baiting cops and just going around harassing and threatening cops, I don't think the courts are going to allow that forever. You know what I mean? I think
I got a different take.
Mhm.
So tell me if this changes your perspective at all.
Mhm.
We live in a country that is so free that we can keep our government in check through little tests like these, where First Amendment auditors go out and have the ability to fuck with their police department without fear of retaliation. I
Mhm.
think that that's a beautiful thing when you look at what other countries have to face, where they're going to jail for social media posts, or for one of the videos I posted was a dude talked shit about another football team, soccer team, and they put him in cuffs because he said, like, it was crazy, dude.
Yeah, that's
So
stupid.
I look at that, and let's be honest, there's been a couple of arrests that have made the media already of social media posts. There was one in Texas, my state, where a lady said something about the water company. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, I saw
maybe.
that.
Yeah, she said something
Yeah.
about the water company, and we got HBO Matt and Otto the Watchdog going down there, auditors, and they got arrested for some bullshit. It was legit bullshit, and I saw it. I'm just like, this is why people need to be allowed to do this stuff, because we got to keep our government in check. As much as I love being a cop,
I agree.
I'm still part of that system. And I have to be honest, historically speaking, the more power we give up, the more power the people don't get back. So by taking that away, it may be shitty. It may cause some strife in policing, but I'd rather the people have to have that, and cops have to deal with some strife versus the other way around.
No, I agree. I agree. Listen, when I make these statements, people need to understand where my personality comes from. I'm very anti-government, to be honest. I don't support either side of politics. I don't trust anybody that's up at that top level. So when I make a statement like I just did, it's to somewhat warn society, because I don't trust that the court systems and the people at the top aren't going to try to suppress the citizens in that aspect. But I also, at the same time, don't agree with the citizens that are doing it for the wrong reasons. You know what I mean? That's where I come from. Is I just want everybody to be moral and do things for the right reasons. So if you are out here and you are an auditor and you believe in the First Amendment right, then do it professional and do it in the right way. But these guys that are going out and they're like walking up to cops that like are just minding their business and putting a phone in their face and saying, fuck you, fuck your mother, or like all this stuff. That's just ridiculous, because let's be real. You don't want the cop talking to you that way. So let's not do it to him either. You're just going to create a massive problem for both people. So those are the things I don't agree with.
Yeah. Okay. So first and foremost, I do want to say thank you to East Carbon Exposed. He said subbed. Appreciate that, brother. I like when we get new followers. I always give you guys a shout out for doing that. One angry goy. I will say this, like,
this guy,
he's careful.
Angry. He's definitely angry.
Yeah. Be careful. I'm all for talking, calling us names and stuff like that, but you're bordering on slander now. Unless you've got something to substantiate that I am lying, I'm not going to tolerate it very long, dude. I'm very, very pro saying stuff on here. As you can see, you've been able to talk your stuff all this time, but don't call me a liar unless you've got something to back that up with, to put behind it. That's going to be your last warning on something like that. So you've been warned. I'm all for it. Now, if you want to tell me something I might be lying about, let's discuss it. But if you can't use your big boy words, then you don't get to talk at the adult table. You'll get put.
Get a camera and a microphone and join us here next week.
That's another thing you can do, Goy. Put your money where your mouth is. Come on the live and tell us what we're if you're able to not stay so angry. I don't mind if you're angry, but you don't get to talk angry on here. So you need to learn to be an adult. So there you go. As Eye of the Night said, bring the proof. So if it's so easy to prove, sir, we're waiting. We're waiting. Tell us what we're lying about. Or are you just one of those guys that just can't control your emotions and you have to have these big, loud outbursts to get your attention fix, which is what you're getting right now, and I'm giving it to you. So you've got your moment here. What are we lying about? There's no number. You're not calling in. This ain't Izzo's show. I'm not going to copy his format. This ain't Cop Talk Live. Shout out to Dominic Izzo, one of our boys. And again, we're not going to agree on everything. We don't have to agree on everything. There's not enough.
Ryan said, I'm not sure if Eric's shirt is legal.
Who said that? Ryan. My intentions are lying. I don't know that you can say that my intentions are lying. You might be speculating that they're not genuine. That's one thing. And Eric just gave the perfect example of emotional intelligence and ethics. Bravo. Appreciate it, brother. Eye of the Night, is Steve Ladner rebranded? No, he ain't at Steve. Don't give him that elevated platform. Steve's a legend. So this is what's part of the good part of our show, Jay. I think it's very community based. We really rely on the comments. So if you have something to say and you really got a message you want to ask and talk about, we're here for it. And I'm giving Angry Goy his chance, and he is doing what most of these trolls try to do. Once you really bring it down to the base roots of it, they don't have anything. So, like Travis John right now, fuck bad cops. Agreed. We don't like bad cops. But again, your intentions. How can you speak about my intentions? That doesn't make any sense. That's not even an argument. Your intentions are lies. Like, you don't even know who we are. Like, this is your first time on here. You don't even know us. How is that possible? How can you say, I mean, Jesus, that's like me saying we're meeting Jay for the first time tonight.
You know what's funny about like people like this? When I'm on, I just started my podcasting page a few months back, and I've been out of policing for about 4 years now. But dealing with all these people on social media, it makes you feel like you're back in policing, and how exhausting it gets when you're mentally drained going back and forth with people.
Yeah. I look at it too. I've been doing this so long. Like, I don't get upset. It doesn't bother me. It's just part of it. And then sometimes you have to let them have the attention they're trying to get to show everybody else that they're full of shit. So we gave him his try. He didn't want it. He wanted to talk a lot, but he didn't want to be up there and have anything to say. So, like Fistriel, I think we actually not got into it with Fistriel when he first started chiming in, but once he showed that we're not shying away from things, and we really want to have the conversations, and we'll talk about this stuff. We do. He said, I have no problem with police, but you guys must admit there is some work to do. Fuck yes. That's why we started the show. There's tons of work to do. Ego is a huge I put on an ego class on our live because cop ego is out of fucking control. You want to see an officer get himself in trouble, you show me any video of a cop getting in trouble, and the first symptom I will show you is their ego. Every fucking time. So shout out to Harrison. I think that's who it was. Harrison dropping 20 memberships. Look at you, Harrison. You unselfish son of a bitch, Harrison. Thank you very much, brother.
Thank you very much.
Harrison has been such a supporter of the show for such a long time. This is what I mean when I talk about we have a very long history of a good community. That's why I don't need to say anything in the chat most of the time. My community does, because a lot of them were in the same boat like one angry goy. They're upset. They have a problem with the system, and they want a place to vent it. And angry, I would tell you, how many places are you going to find a current active cop willing to sit down and have these conversations?
Yeah.
You're not going to see this shit.
Let me ask you about that, because, I'm not sure what your department's like, but a lot of departments, they don't allow guys like you to do this stuff. I mean, at least back when I was a cop, they had rules against like social media, like what you can and can't say. A lot of times I talk to people and I tell people, I'm like, listen, when you're a guy like me that had a target on your back, the media is painting a picture of you, that the chiefs are painting a picture of you, but you're pretty much gagged. You can't go out there and tell and defend yourself and say, hey, this isn't really true. This isn't true. Like, you can't go on social media and talk about it. How does that work with you guys?
So we have a general orders on that. When I first started, I actually went to my department and was like, hey, here's my idea. This is what I want to do. The chief's like, I know your heart. You'll be fine. I said, okay, cool. I didn't do any live stuff for a long time, probably a year and a half at least. Right, Bandy? It took a long time for me to get the balls to do a live, just because I was worried about what I might say on accident, what a guest might say. Yeah, so a lot of that stuff. And I do want to, JD88, I want to get to your comment real quick, because you hit the nail on the head. The biggest reason cops need jujitsu, ego gets beaten out of them. Yeah, there's nothing more humbling than the mats. For those that don't know, I've done jujitsu since 06. I am a lifelong purple belt because I don't stay consistent enough to belt up anymore. It's just, I got a busy life. It is what it is. I will go a roll when anybody asks. You might beat the brakes off me. That's fine. But you'll learn real quick. I'm not a pushover. But jiu-jitsu definitely will humble cops and stuff a lot of ego. I'm 100% behind what he says. So, Ryan, Eric loves the TikTok dancing cop channels. Shut
up. Don't get me started with that.
Yeah.
Let me tell you the maybe week-long saga I had with that TikTok crying guy, the cop that was crying in his cruiser.
The one I sent you? For
Yeah, you
everybody
sent me
wondering
that.
where he got it sent from, it was me.
Well, that was the funny thing is people think that all his followers came at me. And for those who don't know, this was a guy who he's got 1 million followers. He's a cop somewhere in like Alabama or something. I think he's an SRO.
Agency of
And
10.
yeah, he was an SRO. He's in his cruiser, and he posts a video of him crying in his cruiser, like all dramatic with like dramatic music behind it, all edited up. And he's crying because the kids that he watches in the school are graduating. And it's like, listen, this happens every year, and I get it. I got destroyed. Like, I don't care. I went back at everybody as to why I made this video, because we're talking about policing. We're not talking about whether or not a man can have emotions. Yes, a man can have emotions. Okay. But when you are on the job, you need to control all those emotions. And in my opinion, like I said, I go, if I was a dad and that was my kid went to that school, I'd be a little worried on whether or not this guy is going to have the balls. Like, what if there's a school shooter? Is he going to go cry in the corner, or is he going to engage the shooter? These are things that you think about when you're looking at a cop. So when I see a cop crying in his cruiser, that's uh, the other aspect is whether it's genuine or not. Because my opinion is it's a natural emotion that just comes out in the moment. When you have to set up your camera and this and that, that's a big problem. Okay, to me, that's not genuine to me.
I know. Yeah, that's exactly what I said to you when I sent. I was like, bro, he had the time to set his camera up, get his emotions going.
Come on, man. And then come to find out, like a lot of his followers, they don't even really know the guy, and if they do, they just know him from hi bye when they pick their school kids up. But then, man, like the people that were messaging me, like, and I didn't put too much out there. I could put more out there because he made a reaction video of my video, and like all dramatic. But listen, this guy got 1 million followers. He's making a lot of money doing this stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't get, So the people that were messaging me that actually worked with him, knew him growing up and stuff, say a lot of different things about this guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That he's not really who he portrays himself at. And that's the big problem I see on social media. And I told people all the time, like these cops, some of these cops that are sitting in their cruiser on TikTok and they're on TikTok live while they're on duty.
Unreal.
How are you getting away with this stuff?
I don't get that either. You're on the taxpayer's dime and you're on TikTok live.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, and if you're monetized, think about that.
You're double dipping.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane. That is no bueno. You shouldn't be. No fucking way. I'm looking through the comments. Angry Goy said, let's talk about corpus delicti. What about it? What would you like to talk about that? We can do that. I think that corpus delicti is at the body of the crime. Body of the crime. Yeah. Look at me remembering my fucking.
I think he's referring, and it's something about driving laws. I think he's got an issue. I wish he would take a second and just kind of list it out there, and I would be glad to try to answer him the best that I can about. I think he has a problem with an officer stopping somebody for speed who is the victim, somebody using a turn signal who is the victim.
Makes sense.
Right to stop. But I would like to hear him kind of draw it out. I know he's written it a couple times, but these comments are going so quick.
I'm trying to keep up. I'm just I just saw that one. East Carbon Exposed said, question, what are you teaching officers now? What or what not to do? I'm teaching them all sorts of stuff of what to do and what not to do. I need you to be a little more specific on that. Troglodyte pastel belt by the shirt. Thank you very much. The Knight said, you realize there's delays between the streams and your posts. There are 4 chat streams. Yeah. There's 4 chat streams just on Restream, and then I've got TikTok and I've got Instagram. So there's a lot going on, man. So if you want to put something about corpus delicti specifically, let us know. My mods, if you see it, let me know. Can you discuss pretextual stops? Pretextual stops, for those wondering, is I'm set up on, let's say I'm watching a dope house, and they leave a dope house, and I'm like, all right, I just got to wait for them to commit some sort of traffic violation, like no turn signal 100 feet prior, and then I go pull them over. That's a pretextual stop in Texas. I'm right on that, right, man?
You are. And if you have an articulation, and better yet, if you've got it on camera, I used to run my dash cam in conjunction with my body camera all the time, and I'd be speaking of what I'm seeing. I'd reach up there and move that camera as well, especially if we're doing an investigation on a house that may be affecting the neighborhood or the community. And pretextual stops are allowed.
So that's what we're talking about with pretextual stops. I think if pretextual stops are being done, they have to be done based on some sort of intellectual backup for criminal analytics. And what do I mean by that? That's a big mouthful of, hey, here's a dope house in the neighborhood. We've had 4 shootings around this house in the past month. What are the cops doing about it? Oh, well, this is what we're doing now is we're watching these known dope houses. We're watching a person stop for 5 minutes and then leave, and then we're pulling those vehicles over and we're conducting stops and investigations. And that's typically how those go down. But what does become a problem is when somebody's just like, oh, here's a car leaving. I don't like the looks of this car over here at the 7-Eleven. I'm going to wait for it to leave and follow it for 20 blocks while I'm waiting for a traffic offense, and then I finally get it. Like, that's based on nothing. That's based on, they just happen to be riding around in a little, they had a felony force on their rear view mirror, and you use that for your stop. Like, that's kind of what we're getting into. You got anything to add on that, Jay?
I mean, listen, like, yeah, I think that as a cop, you should always want to protect your job, number one. So, and you should want to show that you're not a dirty cop. So you should always want to have a valid reason as to why you're stopping someone. All right. And listen, when you're working in a city, if it's a violent city, it's a drug city, stuff like this, yes, you have to find these reasons to find the other crimes. That's just part of the job. So I understand where people come from in that aspect where they don't like it. But I also think the society needs to understand that this is also how a lot of bad people get off the street that could possibly hurt your family and rob you and do bad things to you. So yes, there's fine lines between some of this stuff, but at the same time too, this is how murderers are getting off the street. Like, for example, let's say you stop a car for a motor vehicle stop or whatever, and then you end up finding a gun in there that was linked to 2 or 3 murders, or you end up finding out that the guy has a warrant for murders or robberies or a string of them. Now you just saved a lot of problems for a lot of future people. So there's fine lines, I think.
Yeah, I think anytime it's based in like some sort of intelligence, using crime data, I think that's a big benefit. And I think that's how you build trust and transparency with your communities as well. Hey, we saw that this is a problem. You guys complained about it at the last town hall meeting. So we went and this is what we did. And then you wait for feedback. Nah, we didn't like that. Like, you used a fishnet approach instead of a harpoon approach, where I felt like you guys are just pulling anybody and everybody over. Next time, if you guys do that again, we want you to do a little bit more intelligent style stops. I want you to have more than just you're throwing a fishnet out there. And I get that. And I think that's fair. So one angry boy, this is how you communicate on our platform. Thank you. This is what I'm talking about, brother. We can absolutely work with this. He says, no victim, no crime, guys. Think like speeding doesn't create victim. The state turns into the only victim, and yet that is your bread and butter. I am with you 100%. I don't like fucking traffic. I don't like it. I am not here to make money for the state. I don't like the revenue. I'm not a traffic cop, and my traffic cops, they bust my balls all the time. Like, why are you so rough on us? Because I'm out there doing real police work. That's why.
And I wasn't, in my over 20 years that I did law enforcement before I get out, the only thing that really, really bugged me was the school zone. When you have active crosswalks in the school zone, and our next generation is just trying to get to school safely, and you have some jackass that's running 75 and a 20 and mows down a couple kids. So I'm going to ask him that same question. Who's my victim now?
Right.
Okay. We have those kids in that crosswalk. I'm right there with what Eric said. I wasn't out there all day long. That's not what my outlook is on police work. Is it a part of it? Yes, in certain situations. I wasn't the guy that was on a motorcycle, which, not knocking those at all, that sat behind a bridge with a LiDAR laser, and they're doing it. There's a time and a place for that. My whole thing was the speeding in the school zone, our next generation getting there safe, or even a residential neighborhood, kids are trying to play, I remember back in the 80s and 90s when I was out there playing, parents would be the cops. They'd go out there, throw a newspaper at the car, hauling ass by because the police were too busy doing other things to come out there and just sit there with a radar and monitor that. I get what you're saying.
Mhm.
There's also a time and place for it.
I like this.
Yeah, I think
Love this.
I'll tell you this one. I had a guy. If you just saw Tony Romo got locked up for the DUI.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I posted a video on that, and I had one of my followers say to me the same thing. No, his view was Tony Romo should be able to drive drunk. He didn't hit anybody. He shouldn't get arrested. And I was like, well, there is also something called preventative policing. Okay, and what that means is you hopefully stop somebody from doing this again that is going to kill somebody or create a bigger problem. And that's what some of this stuff is for. Now, with that being said, like I said earlier, that wasn't the type of policing I really liked doing. I also didn't believe in really ticketing people. You'd have to be doing something extremely reckless for me to want to give you a ticket, because I don't believe in taking money out of people's pockets. I hated that. I just don't believe in it.
Yep. And to your point, what was one angry goy? I keep forgetting his damn name. On the no driver's license required. Oh Lord, please tell me you're a sovereign citizen. Please tell me, because I absolutely love dealing with this one. Because I'm sorry, if you're on a motor vehicle on a public roadway that is provided by the state and taxes, then absolutely you are required to have a driver's license, insurance, and registration all up to date. If you're going to use that roadway and try to say that you have the right to travel, you do have the right to travel on your happy feet, but not in a motor vehicle on a public roadway. That requires a driver's license. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. No legal theory that you're going to be able to spew that changes that. There are so many videos that I have posted on here of judge after judge laughing or getting pissed off beyond repair with these arguments these days, because it's not true. It's a money-making scheme that's going around the internet here and there. It ebbs and flows where people get convinced via their Google theory, legal theory searches that they don't need a license. And you do need a license. No matter what argument you bring up, you need a license. So you can try, but guess what? Your argument's not with me. You got to go do it in court. And any person, and I will tell you this right now, any person that claims that they won based on those legal theories is lying. They won based on their stop being no PC'd, has nothing to do with the right to travel, or the officer didn't show up to court. That's it. They may have paperwork that said this was the arguments they were going to make, but they didn't win based on that. The case was no PC. The judge said, we didn't have the PC for this case. Or the most recent one that somebody tried to show me, you just see the judge sigh, shake his head, and goes, case dismissed. He didn't even want to fucking deal with it. So that's what you're hanging your hat on. Nobody has ever won by saying that they were traveling. And you know how I know that? Because when you put your car out of park and it goes past reverse and it hits that D, that doesn't stand for travel. It stands for drive, because that's what you're doing. You're driving a motor vehicle on a public roadway, and you need a license and insurance and registration. Anybody got anything to argue with that?
Well, no. I mean, look, you're seeing, like we're seeing lately, a lot of the people coming into this country that are getting these jobs with the CDLs, and they're killing people. And listen, this is why you have a driver's license, so that we know that you understand the laws of how you're supposed to drive, so you don't hurt people. It's basically that's the only reason, in my opinion.
Yeah. Lawful said, you don't need a license to travel, so go ahead and ride on a bus. Angry Goy said, fuck court. This country was built on court. It wasn't built on court. It was built on blood. People that talk like that are usually the last people to ever get in any sort of violent encounter. But is what it is. Talk tough on the internet. That's why we have court. The court is so we don't have to fight anymore. That's why we are a nation of laws. You fight in court. That's what you do. Okay. We are we're almost to our 2-hour mark. So I want to go over to our, let's look at some happening videos that are really getting people hyped up and riled up. So I am going to share the screen. All right, we are on our YouTube channel here. Let me see. What's the best view to do? Let's try that view for now. Okay. The first one up is going to be our Tesla car. Guy's driving on autopilot and gets pulled over. So I'm going to bring this up. Make sure we're not muted here. We are muted. Where is the volume? Oh, it's up top. There we go. All right, here we go. Using Tesla's autopilot feature.
Hi.
Yes, sir.
A little fast.
I wasn't driving. That's a test driving autopilot, sir.
You're in charge though, so I need to see your driver's license.
I'm in charge, but I wasn't driving. So
Doesn't matter.
Like
You're in the driver's seat. You can blame the car all you want, but
how can we sort out this problem, sir? I wasn't.
do you have a driver's license?
I do, sir.
The car doesn't have a driver's license. I need to see your driver's license.
But I can't get like anything like involved because wasn't me, sir.
Sir, I need to see your driver's license.
Yes, I can give you that license.
Okay.
The first of all, I'm just
No, not first of all. The first thing I need to see is your driver's license. That's the number one thing. All right, sir. I did write you a ticket for speeding, 64 and a 45. I'm not sure how this whole thing works, but it's not the first person I've stopped that's been an autopilot. I don't know why they decided to speed, but there's no way the speed limit here is 65 or whatever it thought it was. It's only 45.
so like this happened.
We knew it was only going to be all right. So
Yikes.
I know. And now I think it's a chintzy ticket to begin with. 20 over on a freeway.
Yeah.
In a Tesla, of all things. So the dog.
You hear him again?
Yeah, cracks me up. That's why as you said, it's a Boston Terrier.
Nah, French bulldog.
French bulldog. Yeah. All those two. They're hilarious. They always look like they're smiling.
Like little people.
Yeah, but so I'll admit up front, bullshit ticket. It is a bullshit ticket, but at the same time, it's a bullshit argument, and he knew that because we actually looked this up. Tesla actually tells you when you get the car with the autopilot feature that you are ultimately responsible, and that you can't use that argument. This is it's assistant. That's what it is. It's no different than a pilot being responsible for their airplane. If you got it in autopilot and that thing veers off or does anything crazy, it's on the pilot. They're the ones that get in trouble for that. So what are your thoughts on this whole autopilot argument?
Oh, dude. I mean, this is just, in my opinion, society not understanding laws or their own vehicles. You know what I mean? Like, the way I look at things is this. If you don't want to deal with the cops and you don't want to deal with situations like this, then be educated. And if you don't even know how to properly use your own vehicle, that's going to be a problem, and you're probably going to have problems for that.
Yeah. So, Lawful said English bulldog, and that noise comes from the other end.
Oh, yeah. He's right about that, too.
Too funny. Yeah. What Marine Blood say? One angry goy, please calm down. We have moved on from that topic. Yeah, bro. We're done with that one. We gave you a shot. I mean, agree to disagree. I mean, we don't have to agree on everything.
There's no victims on it. We're not going to talk about it anymore.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So things to consider though for the future on this. It's going to come around where autopilot is it. I mean, look at the Waymo cars, right? That's how you pronounce it, right? Waymo. Have you seen those, Jay?
I've actually written.
Yeah, was it like there's no driver?
Yeah, there's no driver.
Like that, right?
They're huge in Arizona. I think that's where they started. And I won't get in one. I'm not.
No, I would never. I don't trust any of that stuff.
Nope. You ain't. Look, you ain't Skynet and me. When that shit takes over, I'm not being stuck in a coffin.
Hell no.
Yeah. So, but there's going to become a point where Tesla probably themselves are going to be like, yeah, our shit's good enough now. It can drive you and it can do it on its own. So I'm curious when we get to that point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like the way I am is anything that's brand new, I don't really want, or I don't really want to like mess with, because typically there's problems that they haven't figured out yet.
Yeah. I don't want to be. Yeah. Nunya O'Brien brings up a good point. When the people are educated, they're mocked. And I've seen that. And this is where it goes into cop ego. Where'd you get your degree? Google? Where you a social media lawyer all of a sudden? Like people can't get educated. And I hate that.
He's not wrong about that. And that touches on the cop's personality again. You know what I
Yes.
mean? It's
Yes.
so. Listen, we want you guys to be educated. That's why we're telling you guys this stuff. And you know, if a cop acts like that, then you're understanding his personality and what type of cop he is. It's as simple as that. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And I agree. What was the name again? Something O'Brien. Nunya O'Brien. Yes. You bring up a really good point. And that is, I mean, shit, I've seen Long Island get that probably more than anybody. Long Island audit, when he does his audits and stuff, and we're like, oh, did you Google that law or whatever? And I'm just like, he's right. You fucking, like, this, he's a pro, by the way. And he's right.
Yeah.
Like, you're over here. And that, again, that goes into training and education on cops. So, Marine Blood, you're timed out for 5 minutes. Marine Blood put somebody in timeout. He never puts people in timeout. Holy shit. You must have really screwed up if Marine Blood put you in timeout, because he is an actual Marine. So my mom said, I don't like other people driving while I'm in the vehicle, let alone autopilot. My mom hates riding with me. She's like, you drive like a cop. I've drove that way.
There you go. That's what it's funny you say that, because I tell people, like, you know, if I meet a new girl or whatever, or a new person that never drove with me, I'm like, you have to understand, this is how I drove for many years of my life every day, you know?
Yeah. I trust cop with 200 hours of YouTube University from active LEOs over what the academy shovels out. That's a good point. That's a good point. We get a lot of people that say Banning and I should go across the country training. And I'm always like, I'm not against it. Let me know. Ooh, we got a goat in the house. One of the greatest, HBO Matt. He said, we still get cops screwing up 3802 in Texas, and he's not wrong. We've had HBO Matt on the show. He's out there doing good things, trying to get Second Amendment rights back in town hall meetings and all that stuff. He's done great work. So let's go to another video, sir. I think we've beat that dead horse. All right, we're gonna share the screen here. I kind of want to go. I want to go to the security guard. I can't help it. I want to go to the security guard.
Can a security guard detain you?
Let me. Does that? Let me hit.
You out of your vehicle
the way it is.
Sir, can I call the police? I'm about to call the police. You inside of my vehicle.
Because I gave you a lawful order.
I'm not onto the property yet.
This is our property.
And I said I'll exit.
What is that?
I'm recording.
Okay, you can see his shirt. It's you guys may have a harder time, but it says Officer River Hills Security, SC, South Carolina. So that's already weird to me that it's some sort of security policing thing, but I'm going to keep playing.
Recording right now. So I just want you to know that you're not letting me leave. So you're saying you're not letting me leave the property.
No, I'm not saying that you can't leave the property. I'm saying I gave you a lawful order to go ahead and step out the vehicle.
And I told you that I'll exit the property.
And
he said, I'm not telling you can't leave, but I'm telling you to get out of the car.
Yeah, how can I leave if I'm in the car?
I can't leave if you're telling me to get out of the car. I'm giving you a lawful order to exit the vehicle. All right, let's keep going here. Something I'm noticing. He's in front of the gate shack. So essentially what I put together is he's on the driveway easement to get onto the actual property. Because when you see every once in a while, the camera looks in forward and you can see that the gate arm is still down. So he hasn't actually made it on to what I would consider the part that they're trying to control access to for property. So he's on the public easement is what I would really argue. But let's keep going.
Do you want to go ahead and call the police so they can handle it?
You can call them if you would like to.
Because now you're inside of my property.
Yeah, that gives me the lawful authority to do so.
And I can take the lawful authority to leave. Okay. You have just as much authority for me to leave. Listen, I don't want to go back and forth with you. I'd rather go ahead and leave.
I'm letting you know the situation. I'm articulating.
You're giving me anxiety right now.
Issue, unfortunately.
It's your issue that you're not letting me leave.
I can order you out of the vehicle legally.
I'm about to back up.
If you back up and hit him, that will.
I don't want to hit you. So I'm telling you that I'm about to back up. You can tell him.
He says, if you back up and hit him, that'll be your problem. That's what he tells him. Like, see what I mean? Like, even so, one of the arguments that was made was that this guy is an actual cop, but he's working a security gig. I don't know that to be true. And let me get out ahead of this. I clipped the hell out of it because there's a lot of lull. It was just filler. There was like the stuff that I clipped out of there wasn't actually anything that was going to give this more or less validity. I didn't take any context out of it. However, because of time restraints, I did clip it. So I just want to be honest about it. I did clip the hell out of it, and I had to speed it up because it was over 3 minutes long, and I wasn't going to be able to get the whole video. So you guys are more than willing to, or you're more than welcome to go out and find the full video if you don't believe what I said. But I'm just being honest about it up front. That's what I did. But let's discuss this crazy shit, shall we? Because this is a fucking shit show. So ultimately, what lawful authority do we have in this instance? If he's a cop, I want to go with the giving him the most grace. Let's say he is a cop. He's a sworn peace officer with credentials in that state, but he's working as a security gig right now. Bandy, you go first.
I'm sorry. If you're working that as an off-duty gig as a security officer, you have to maintain the role as a security officer, regardless of if it's the state that you were a police officer in a different jurisdiction. Even if that's the city that this kid works in as a cop, you are working and being paid as a security guard under the HOA. He's probably got a measuring stick in his back left pocket to make sure nobody's grass goes above 4 inches. Joking. But the actual, and that's a lot of too much to pull somebody out of a car. No, we're grasping there. If I was him, I would have rolled up the window. If you have no exit, call law enforcement there. You're trying to leave, but the kid's not opening the gate, so you can do U-turn and get out of there.
Yeah. Yeah. Like why are you trying to get him to unask the vehicle to begin with? He's willing to leave. You don't want him there. So now why are we trying to get somebody out of the vehicle?
Well, that's what I'm wondering is what is the whole stop and what is this for in the first place?
Right. It's obviously not a safety concern. We got both hands on the car. We're not trying to go to our weapon. There's nothing about this that screams it's a safety issue, that not an imminent threat. So now we're going to go off the fact that he's a sworn peace officer.
Well, let me ask you this question because, from in Connecticut, we're not allowed to do stuff like that. Like you're a cop, you're a cop. If you want to work other jobs, it has to be under, the guise of an officer. Like
in your uniform.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
So we don't have stuff like that. So in a situation like this, I don't even think that stuff like that should be allowed because if you're a cop, you're a cop. If you're going to go work security, you should be working security as a cop. Like, for example, the door of a bar or whatever. You're still a cop in uniform. Your duties are under the duties of a cop.
Yep.
When you start
meshing rules.
Yeah, when you're starting to mesh all this stuff up, and now I got to go be a security officer, and I got to learn all the rules of what a security officer can do on top of being, but I'm already a cop. Like, I don't agree with that because I think it creates problems like we're seeing like this.
Yeah. Alberto over on LinkedIn, Alberto Echeburu said, does he suffer any liability if he doesn't get him out of the car but lets him go and something bad happens? No. His job is to observe and report. That is his job. That's what security does. Now, if there is something so egregious that it's a safety concern to the immediate public, himself, or anything like that, he can do more. And one of the arguments that I made on this is that in some states, they do grant security guards the ability to lawfully arrest and detain. But those same guidelines give you as a citizen the same right to arrest and detain. It falls under the same scope. So, yeah, let's say he had something that, this guy's got an AR sitting right next to him and he's like got his kill list sitting in the side seat and he's like, oh my God, this guy's about to go kill all these people and I know they're inside. Well, now he can make a lawful arrest based on that right then and there. Sure. I don't think that's what we have, but yeah. So Alberto, no, I wouldn't say that he suffers any like real liability when it comes to that. As long as he's reporting it and he's trying to do the right thing, should be fine. I mean, shit. Look at some of the instances where cops I would have thought had a duty to act and they turned out to be cowards. So,
and I believe if this was truly a security risk that the security guard was seeing, he would be telling the person behind him, hey, go away. He'd go into his little guard shack there, get police on the line. Don't lift up the thing. If this suspect that in his mind he believes is going to do something, he can crash through the barrier on his own. What's his job? Get that license plate, get a description of the person if you can, and give it to law enforcement that do have the duty and ability to come out there and do something if a law is being broken in his presence or view, if you will, for security.
Yeah, I made Country Girl laugh. She said, "Observe and report."
Another good movie right there.
But I know, right? Absolutely. Angelo said 99% of police don't need a lethal weapons with Byrna type weapons. What's a Byrna type weapon?
Do you mean an actual firearm? Is that what you're calling? Like, you mean by Byrna?
Byrna? Like, I don't know. Is that like, I don't know what that means.
I mean, if the argument is that you think that cops don't need guns and things like that, that's I'll never agree with that.
I don't agree with that. Yeah, I don't agree with that at all. I think she said Chicago. Shit, if anybody needs guns for cops, it's Chicago.
A Byrna weapon is that CO2 power that we were talking about offline before we went live.
Oh, is that what those are called? Byrna? I guess I never heard that term before.
So non-lethal, is that what they mean? She means?
Yeah, CO2 powered non-lethal or less than lethal self-defense launcher that looks and handles like a handgun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, cops definitely need more than that because you're in a nation that was founded on gun ownership.
Yeah.
Everybody has a gun. You're going to take the one population that's made to try to enforce the law and then tell them that they can't have a gun in a nation that's founded in gun ownership. So many guns. It's like quadruple the number of guns to each citizen. Like, yeah, good luck. Good luck. I mean,
well, just look at the cities that have laws that say no guns, period.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Are they reporting any gun crimes?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. They have the most gun. They have the most gun crimes, the most shootings.
So,
well, look at all those countries that got rid of guns. How it's so chaotic. Or
yeah,
you know?
Australia's having a hell of a time.
Yeah.
I saw a video recently. I don't know if you saw the video. I think this was it was in another country where the guy comes out of like a side corner with a sword or a machete and going at the cop.
Yeah, and the cop tries to go up there with a taser.
He actually like gets one cop with a machete or whatever.
Yeah, he gets a good one.
Then they finally tase him when he's in between the car. If that's the same video you saw, I don't know. But anyways, these are cops that don't have guns. You know what I mean? Like, what do you expect them to do? It's crazy.
There's I don't know if I shared it yet. Maybe I did, but there was a good video. It might have been my Cops Do It Better in Other Countries video. The cops chasing after a guy, and the guy's digging down into his ankle. And you like the cop's got his taser out. It's England, I believe, and he's like, I'm gonna tase you, I'm gonna tase you, I'm gonna tase you. And he keeps giving these warnings, and he's warning him. And all of a sudden, you see a pistol come out, and this cop just runs the other fucking way. And I'm like, that's like, yeah, bro, you had all the opportunity. This is where I tell people hesitation's what's getting you in trouble. But yeah, that's crazy. Angelo said, "You sound like you have assaulted many citizens." Okay. I mean, you're 100% speculating off of nothing. So, that's a poor argument. Again, if you're just going to throw out emotional claims, I would ask that you go back to the logic and reasoning side and give me something that you can put down on paper and show me. But I'm sorry, in America, we have a Second Amendment, and you should have a gun. Cops should have a gun. And everybody should have guns. An armed society is a polite society. I like guns. So it is what it is. I don't want criminals to have guns, but I want lawful abiding citizens to have guns for sure, so they can protect themselves. American people are not your subjects. You're right. They are not. 100%. Us as police officers work for the people. So, okay. Let me go back to my videos here. I think we've sufficiently covered security guy. Okay. I'm gonna go to. I think we've covered this one before, but I want to play it for Jay. Oh, damn it. Give me a second. I went to the wrong video. 1 second. This is the deal with going live sometimes. I got to share the screen. Share screen. All right. We're going to go with, is this something that you would do in your time at work, Jay?
Can you be arrested? Can a security guard detain you and order you out of your vehicle?
Oh, it did it again.
Can I call the police? I'm about to call the police.
Sorry. It just keeps jumping to the video it wants to play instead of playing the video that I'm clicking on.
Can you be arrested? Can a security guard detain you and order you out? Tell me, is it true that you...
I'm just going to go back this way. There we go.
Did this officer arrest... Can you be arrested for jumping into a lake?
I've seen this, yeah.
Send it. Oh.
Yeah.
What? No, you can't take my camera. You cannot take my camera. No.
Yes, again, there's no reason for you to take my camera. Confiscate as evidence. Go ahead. I'm happy for you.
No, this is too expensive for you.
I don't care. You have to give me your camera now. It's evidence.
Sir, you are under arrest.
What for? Dangerous games?
Okay. 3319.
Okay.
All right. Dangerous games. 3319 in California.
Yikes.
Stupid fucking law that is.
Yeah. Now, this is the stuff that I understand why citizens get mad and stuff like that. So that, like, understand, like, listen, yes, I do think that we need laws and stuff like that, but this is the shit that where we talk about government, the government overreach, man.
Yeah.
Like
Corpus delicti. Where the fuck you at, Goya? One angry goy. Like, this is your corpus delicti argument right here. You've got no victim. No one got hurt. There's no one in danger unless you land on somebody.
Yeah.
Not to mention, look how much money we just spent. Look, government money. You had a boat, gasoline, 2 or 3 officers probably on that boat. You had another 2 or 3, maybe 5 officers up on the land side with their vehicles and gas. And then you're going to have court time. You're probably there's going to be 2 trips to court at least on that. You wasted all, and not to mention going down to the jail, dealing with the jail people. Like, there's so much time wasted on our side that you're never going to recoup that money, even in fines for what that guy just did.
Well, you know what my other aspect to this is as a citizen, how are you supposed to know that that's illegal? I mean, there's a rope there for a reason. Why is the rope even there?
Right.
Well, you know what I mean?
The cops did yell out, like, if you do it, you're going to be arrested. And the guy was like, fuck it, I'm still going. And that's what I love about him.
Yeah.
He's like, I do it for the glory of the story, baby.
There's a video I posted about, and I said, like, in the video, like, I'm a retired cop. I would never do this to somebody, where the cop gives the guy a ticket because he backed his car in rather than having it, pulling it in. No, he backed it in rather than pulling it in face first. And I'm just like,
yeah, that's the video I posted too. Yeah.
Yeah. That's outrageous to me. I would never do that to somebody. That's so ridiculous, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And plus, like, I don't know, but there was no signs. Like, there was no signs that said you can't back in.
Yes. Yeah.
To me, that's a problem.
And he's from out of the country.
Yeah,
like,
dude,
he's from Canada. Like, give him a break. Like, what type of message are we sending to visitors?
Very true.
I want to welcome people. I don't want people to not come back to my city.
Yeah.
Sure. What are you giggling about, Banny?
Hey, just the amount of comments you're going to derive from. I get your heart on it, but he's from another country. Give him a break. Here we go.
And then let me see. What was the other point? Oh, okay. So then you've got one of the guys that was filming it, and the cop saying, "I get to take your camera." I don't think you do. If he was filming it himself, the actor of the crime was filming it himself. But how do you know that that's not just some dude he saw on the trail and was like, I'm gonna go film, or I'm gonna go jump in the water. You want to film it?
Yeah.
Like that doesn't make him a party to the crime. He's just a dude filming. You don't know anything. You didn't even talk to that guy, and now you're gonna try to confiscate his camera.
He's not going to need that as evidence as long as everybody was running their body.
No.
Right. And then you had all of that time to film it yourself. You don't need his video camera.
Well, and that, I mean, unless there's nobody there and you're taking his property as like inventory, that's a different story. But to seize it, absolutely not.
Right. You know and that would be if there was nobody there and that was his camera.
Right.
But that was the dude's holding it. He's like, I'm going to need that camera. Like, the fuck you are. You're going to need a warrant, buddy. So yeah, it's crazy. Hey, Angelo, you're a broken record. We totally admit we do work for you, not the other way around. We've already said that. Matter of fact, they said we work for you, the people. We are servants to the community. That's what we do.
I think your caps lock button is stuck.
Yeah, I think your caps lock your point doesn't get emphasized anymore. So, Country Girl said we used to jump from top of a crane at a barge dry dock. Holy shit. Yeah, that's why she's Country Girl. She's been a part of us for a long time here, Jay. So that makes sense with her. We got another girl called Shotguns and Tattoos. Them two crack me up. So hey, Angelo, you already made this point too. You already said take cops' guns away. So I don't know why you feel the need to spam it, but I'm saying it for you. Angelo thinks that cops need to have their guns taken away in the United States. And I'm saying that that's just a crazy take. It's not a realistic take at all. So, but hey, go do a couple scenarios at Citizens Academy and tell me how that works out, not having a gun. Steve Wallace, one of our oldest, and I don't know that Steve's ever missed a live that we've done. He said they need to start using the dangerous games law on the mobs of kids stunting on their bikes in the middle of traffic. It's getting ridiculous. Oh my God. Tell me about it. They're starting to do some really good traps on them. They're fine catching.
You know what?
Bridges.
I actually posted a video about that. There was a kid who was doing that, but this was on like e-bikes. You know, those are a big problem too now. This was in Las Vegas too. It was in Las Vegas. He's running lights. And this kid's 14 years old. He's doing wheelies, running through red lights on it. And then the cop tries stopping him, and he, creates a chase. And the cop ends up locking him up. He's 14. The parents come to the scene, and the parents are arguing with the cop. They're making a big scene, trying to make it seem like the cop is wrong and this and that and whatever. And it's like, and you're seeing this more and more with parents not taking accountability for their kids' actions, which is getting crazy. But then I look deeper into it, and the mother, I look at her social media, and her page is literally just all she does is post her kid doing this. So she condones him doing it.
Oh,
and
no.
and that's her whole page. And then
She needs to be held accountable.
Well, you know what was even funnier is she owns a clothing company that is attached to her son doing this stuff. So she's purposely trying to make money off of her kid doing this stuff and baiting the cops and doing, you know what I mean? It's just outrageous behavior.
Yeah. Yeah. Finally, Angelo, you said something I do agree with. It's not spamming. I do all caps all day, every day. Fuck you if you don't like it. Amen, sister. I'm with you. Or brother. I don't know. And is that a boy or girl's name? Angelo's a guy's name, right?
Yeah.
I don't know any Angelos. I know the restaurant in Flint, Angelo's Home. This guy knows what I'm talking about. Question, Jay. Let's test your Michigander. Are you a Detroit style or are you Flint style?
Oh man, I'm probably Detroit, to be honest. Yeah.
I don't like
I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, listen, my dad grew up in Flint, and that's where I was most of the time, but I was in Detroit a lot too, because that's all we did was go to the sports, every sporting event, you know what I mean? So I was down there most of the time.
Hell yeah. Catch you some Red Wings games, some Tigers games.
Yeah, bro. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking
I'm actually pumped down here because the Lions are playing Miami, the Dolphins this year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So they'll be down here. So yeah, November. So I'll be able to see them down here.
Hell yeah. Well, shit. Given by where you live by, maybe I can make a trip down there. You can host me.
Yeah, bro.
I'll come watch that shit. Go catch a football game. Sure. Okay. I want to open the floor to people out there, or Jay, if you've got anything that you want to bring up. There is one thing that I do want to bring up for you. Mm-hmm. You're an author.
I am, yes.
That's crazy because you don't look like an author.
Nah. Well, I'm a creative guy. I'm a creative guy, man. That's my thing,
Tell us what you're an author of, sir.
Yeah. So, listen, I created this book for everybody. And what I started realizing, not just being a cop, but doing the social media thing and seeing what's going on social media, is that, yes, cops are uneducated, but so is society. And why is that? A big reason for that is because we don't learn this anywhere. I mean, think about it. We go through school, right? And we never get a class in high school or anything that teaches us about the law, teaches us about the court systems, teaches us how to deal with cops, what cops are allowed to do, what they're not allowed to do, what you're allowed to do, things like that. So how do you ever learn? That's why people go out into society and they're getting all their information from social media now rather than, real education. And nobody's teaching you this stuff. In my opinion, junior, senior year of high school, there should be a class where they teach you all this type of stuff. What happens when you get arrested? How do you navigate through the court systems? What's the difference between federal law, state law? Does a cop have that? Do you have to give your ID to a cop? Do you not? Because think about it. Then you go to college and you're out there on your own. You know what I mean? You don't have your parents there to tell you anything anymore and teach you stuff. You're literally out there on your own. And a lot of college kids, they end up, now they're drinking, they're doing things like this, they're getting in trouble and they're dealing with the cops. And, people's lives get ruined because they just don't have the education. So the other problem is, the law, the statutes, all these things, they're very hard to read. If you're not a lawyer, if you're not a cop, if you're not, the normal person, it's very hard to read this lingo. So I created a book that is basically for everybody. If you're somebody who is already a cop, this is a book that you can touch up your skills on. If you're somebody who wants to be a cop, this is a great book to teach you everything that you're going to need to know going into that field. If you're not a cop, you could be a criminal. This book is going to help you. Okay. For real.
I love it. I love it. Hell yeah.
It's going to teach you everything. And that's why I did it. Just to kind of give people that education, keep it in your car, keep it anywhere. So if you do get pulled over, you could literally be like, hey man, look, you can't do this shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's titled Citizen's Law, A Plain English Guide to American Law, How to Deal with Police Encounters to Protect Yourself by Jason Bandy. So I have got that up there. You guys can find that on Amazon if you so choose to. But no, that's pretty cool. I like the idea behind it. We kind of talked about this earlier, but one of the things that I really wish they would bring back is have gun safety classes in school. I think that would be a wonderful idea. I think civics classes in general would be a good idea. How many times, Banning, running code, have you seen people pull over or just stop in the middle of the road when you're running code?
100%. There's so many things that need to be fixed. 100% in law enforcement, we get that. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to open the eye on that. But driver's education, driver's education has gotten so distant, and now you're watching a few videos and you're good to go, and you're going to be out there with, depending on what you're driving. I drive an 8,000-pound truck as my daily driver, a big diesel, and if you don't understand physics when you're trying to stop something like that, especially if you got a heavy loaded trailer, you can end up taking somebody's life.
Yeah.
But the same thing with yielding to law enforcement, EMS, and fire. You got to give them a path through because they're going to help somebody.
Yep. 100%. Twitchy, on top of things, found a link. So Twitchy, I'm gonna put that link in the chat. So if you guys want a link to Jay's book, it's right there. And if you listen to this later, you'll be able to find that on our live stream, the recording anyway. I'm about to cough, so give me 1 second. As I were. Marine Blood, Logan, Eric likes eating donuts. Yeah, it's just self-deprecating humor, brother. It's for those wondering where the name came from, I am a cop in the military and a municipal cop. So, and I like donuts. So I just played off of my favorite podcast, which is Two Bears, One Cave. Burt Kreischer and Tom Segura, they're funny comedians, and they big hairy dudes. So they created Two Bears, One Cave. So I just mimicked their name because I thought it was simple and easy and made sense for me. Two cops, one donut. It did not come from Two Girls, One Cup, although that is a funny coincidence once my buddies pointed that out to me later. So
classic.
Yeah, I think I was about 3 episodes in, Jay, and somebody was like, one of my friends, that's funny, dude, like Two Girls, One Cup. And I'm like, fuck. Yeah, it is. I didn't think of it that way, but thanks for reminding me. So he said, is his shirt choking him? Who? Yeah. Hey, come on now. Don't be hating on the Barbie classic from Retro Rifle. Eric Whitston said, there is a theory that can be debated that the government wants the public to not know their rights so they can do things to the public and the public doesn't know any better. It is a theory I have saw. Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, there is
to a certain extent.
Yeah, there's sound logic behind that.
Well, I mean, listen to this. Like, part of the thing I say is, imagine if society did have the education. Imagine if you did go through a class, junior, senior year of high school. Imagine if you did read a book like this, whatever. A lot of people would have less encounters with the police, in my opinion. Crime would probably go down. There would be less arrests, because people know their rights. They know what they can and can't do. So, and listen, there's a lot of arrests that happen because people aren't necessarily trying to do something bad. They just don't know that they're doing something bad.
Yeah.
And then you have the government. Listen, the government loves money. I mean, what happens when you get arrested? They make money off of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's the machine. I mean, you talk about the what do they call it? The industrial war machine, or I can't industrial complex, something like that. I don't get into the politics side of things too much, but the industrial war complex, or whatever the hell that thing's called, it makes sense. And if you take that same logic and look behind the structure of the way our system's set up, it's a moneymaker. That is a part of it. So sound logic. It's just, it takes individual thinkers like us that are allowed to do that to say, I'm not going to be a part of that. I can do this job without being a part of it.
One thing I want to ask you is, what's your opinion on for-profit prisons?
Oh my God. Tell me that's not a horrible fucking idea from the gate. You already got corrupt judges. That's already been busted. I think it was Pennsylvania.
Insane.
Yeah. These private prisons. No, thank you. You know what? I'll be on board the day that it shows that the recidivism goes down because of it. But these private prisons are not doing better than regular prisons at all.
If you just look at anything that's contracted, that state and local government or federal does contracted, it's going to cost more than doing it in-house. And I don't understand that. I didn't understand it when I was in the military. I don't understand it when I was active in law enforcement. Anytime you contract something, and you'll hear within that argument, it's to save us money.
Yeah.
They say that, but they know. Yeah, we know what's going on there. There's a lot of kickbacks and all shit like that going on.
Yeah, no, that's a great topic, and no, I'm completely against that. It just makes sense. Just when you, in my opinion, when if you put that on paper, I'm like, no, like you're already mad at you've already opened the door for major corruption on that.
Yeah,
at the expense of people that have no rights as it is.
Crazy.
Like that's one of the most people. Bad guys are going to do bad guy things, and they're going to have to pay a consequence for that. My job is to not beat them down once they're paying for a mistake. My job is to try to help them not do that again. Because I want to be put out of a job. I want there to be no crime so I don't have to work. Like literally, I want you to be able to make me lazy. But that's just not the way it is. Ryan said, Eric, what are your thoughts about the military style used in law enforcement, given that you are also in the military? How are they different and should they be? I'm not clear on what you're asking. What are your thoughts about the military style used in law enforcement? Are we talking about chain of command? Ryan, I think you're going to need to be a little more specific. Are we talking about SWAT using Bearcats and stuff like that, using military equipment?
Right.
I'm never.
Or is he trying to compare like how you were a cop in the military, right?
Yeah, I'm an MP for the
So
Air
what's
Force.
the difference really? Like, what would be the difference of you doing that job compared to this job? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll wait for him to throw up something clarifying. KP Nation said, you mentioned trespass earlier. Why do officers always compare private and public having the same trespass law? Is it something they are told in training? No, I think they just fucking get it mixed up. I think they're trespassing. You don't know this, Jay, but that is it's probably the top platform that I have on this show because I talk about how cops fuck up trespass so much. One of the things that we mess up a lot is we think we have the right to ID you on a trespass warning, because what do? When we're doing our police work, we have this little book with all these trespass warnings. And we think because it's got a thing that says name, date of birth, all that stuff, that I have a right to your ID. I don't. Not if you look at your law, because a criminal trespass warning is not a crime. It's a warning. It's actually civil. So I don't have a right to your ID. And cops screw that up a lot. They try to force ID, whether it's on public or private. Or they'll try to get you. You're on the public sidewalk, and it's the 7-Eleven that's trying to trespass you. And the officer's like, come here. And you're like, no, I'm not going over there. Fuck you. And they try to get them, bring them back onto the property that they're told to leave so they can issue a criminal trespass warning. One,
that's ridiculous.
You do not have the right to their ID, not until you told them they got to leave and they refuse to leave in your presence. Or unless you've got like some video evidence this guy's been criminally trespassed before with the warning, and now you can turn that criminal. Bandy, your little smirk is driving me nuts.
It just goes back, and I think I mentioned it maybe about a year ago, was when I started working in a rural area. I had my chief come to me and say, hey, if you see so-and-so out on his bike today, you need to issue him a criminal trespass from Mary's house. He was there the other night and he took a beer without asking when he left. So when you see him, we're going to do a lifetime criminal trespass on him. I need you to go do that. And then I turn the bridge. Hey, what law is that? A city ordinance wouldn't be able to cover it. I need you to break this down to me, knowing what criminal trespass was. And this dude hasn't been there in 48 hours. And he was wanting me to go out. And that wasn't the only thing. I mean, you had the sheriff doing that to people as well. And then when somebody would violate, they were being arrested, and it was 2 or more, the DA was accepting that case. And it baffled me. And you and I understand how criminal trespass works in the state of Texas. How is that working? And it's not just here, and it's in a lot of rural areas. And I'm only speaking on Texas on this. And no, I did not go out and issue that criminal trespass.
Fucking crazy. The man in the hat said, Ryan, going back to the military and policing question, Ryan is asking the common question about departments using military style uniforms, gear, tactics, etc. What's your opinion on that? Honestly, I don't care. I'm not a big, I don't get into the semantics of things. If we're worried about looks, we're not worried about the right things. Obviously, look at fucking Tattoo Face over here. If we're worried about his looks, we're worried about the wrong things. That doesn't mean he's going to be a bad cop. I want to judge a person by their actions. So if they're out there wearing, I don't want you to look like the military. And what I mean by that is I don't want you out there in OCPs wearing what the military wears, because there's got to be a distinct difference. I got to be able to tell that now if you're wearing an all blue uniform that just happens to has the same pockets and same materials, I don't give a shit. That doesn't bug me. I don't care. Wear what is functional and helps you do the job better. If it keeps you in the streets longer because you're wearing an outer carrier and it's not killing your lower back because you're wearing all your shit on your hips, I'm all for that. I don't care that you think it looks scary. If it helps them perform better, you should want that too. You should want them out in the street longer. You should want all of that stuff. If they've got an MRAP that can help them approach on SWAT calls safer, better, it's not out there patrolling the streets. You know, if you get a riot or whatever, I don't mind them having that equipment. It doesn't bug me. No. The problem is when and how it's used. Just no different than a guy that takes tractor equipment, turns it into a tank, and terrorizes a town. Because that happened. It was a fucking awesome video to watch.
90s in Los Angeles.
Yeah, it was like the 90s. Yeah, it was fucking cool. Your boy was going just ham. Like, not today. What's your thoughts on that, Jay?
I mean, like you said, I don't really care how a cop looks. I care more about how he acts, how he treats people. So in that aspect, you know, I don't really mind. As for uniforms, I think, like you said, whatever is going to be comfortable. I mean, people don't really know until they do this job how uncomfortable some of this stuff is, and how it really does break your body down. The belt, things like this, the gear. You know, you got to be prepared for everything. You know, like society out here. Obviously, there's great people and there's bad people, and we see this throughout lifetimes. So there's crazy stuff that can go down, and if the departments are not prepared for that, then we can't protect you properly. So obviously it should be utilized in the right manner, but I do think that we should be equipped to handle anything.
Yeah. Troglodyte said, "Kill Doza for the win." Right? Oh shit! Too funny. Yeah. Just looking at the comments here. We're at 2.5 hours. We usually go 2.5, 3 hours. I don't have a topic, anything else lined up. I'm just looking at the chat. So if you guys are throwing questions up there, I will keep bringing up questions. If you have any questions for Jay, now's the time. Please put that in there. Jay, any other topics? You did the private prisons thing. Is there any other thing that's been weighing on your heart where you're like, fuck this?
No, I mean, I think we've kind of touched on a lot of things. I think the one thing that just really bothers me when I see on social media or just people is just their disdain for police, man. Like just how much they hate cops or their anger towards them. And I just think that that's something that I can understand to a certain extent, okay? But I think that we shouldn't be like that towards anybody or any profession or any type of people in this world at all. We should all want good morals and good things to happen to each other. And I don't think that being like that is going to help anything. And I'd like to see people be a little bit more logical than emotional, because I think that's a big problem in society in this generation, especially, man. It's like people aren't thinking with their brains, they're thinking with their emotions. And that's getting a lot of people in trouble. And I just want people to understand that, listen, there's great cops and there's shit cops. And that's why we put this information out there. That's why I go out there and I expose, bad cops getting in trouble on my page, because it's not uncommon. It does happen. And I know society wants to see it happen. But I will ask you guys this question, because society thinks that it doesn't happen enough, where they think that cops get away with everything. And I try to tell them that, like, this whole thin blue line thing really isn't like it was back in the 70s, 80s. There's a lot of cops within these police departments that don't like each other. There's a lot of vindictive nature. There's a lot, cops really aren't protecting each other the way society thinks they are. And I think that that's something that society needs to realize, that this thin blue line thing isn't as real as you think. We're not out here. If a cop is doing something bad, you better believe that there's cops within that department that does not like that cop or does not like what that cop is doing. And if they have the opportunity to, they will fuck that cop over. This is just how it goes. It's like any job, really.
Yeah. I think I'll push back a little bit on that. We have examples that I think frustrate people, like Harrison. He's out in Kentucky, where they just have years of corruption going on amongst the troopers that's finally coming to light, of cops protecting cops. So you see a thin blue line example over there versus coming to another department like in California, where you see that they're all turning on each other constantly internally in that department. So there is no thin blue line in that sense either, because they all, they're crabs in a bucket, just pulling each other down. So it's weird. It depends on what you're looking at and where you're at.
Yeah.
I think thin blue line absolutely exists in a good old boy system at some of these departments, because we see examples of it. And then I think in other departments, you see everybody throwing each other under the bus any chance they can get so they can get up on that bucket. And it's crazy how it just differs from so many places. So I tend to, again, it's not a mutually exclusive thing. And then I've talked about this on the show before. What does the thin blue line actually mean? It means different things to different people. All it means to me, it doesn't have anything to do with I'm on the line and I'm protecting the good versus the evil. It never meant that to me. That's not what it means to me. To me, it means if I fall, Banning's going to step up and make sure my daughter walks down the aisle and somebody gives her away. That somebody's going to be there if I die. And my daughter, she's 14 right now. So somebody is there to help her get her license. Somebody helps her with her first car when I go. That's what it is to me. That just means somebody's going to be there for my family that I don't typically think you're going to get at any 9-to-5 job somewhere else. You're not going to get that type of family and friends. And I've got that with the military as well. I've got brothers and sisters in the military that I know if I go down, whether it's as a cop or in the military, I'm in the Air Force. I'm not going down. So, but the chair force, if you will. But somebody will be there for me. So to me, that's what the thin blue line really meant. But it means different things to different people. So
I agree with that.
Yeah. It is what it is. Brandar, where the fuck has Brandar been, by the way? I haven't heard from Brandar in forever, and now he just jumps in out of nowhere, dropping 10 memberships. Thank you, Brandar. He didn't do it in Japanese currency this time, so he must be Brandar is I think Navy. I think he's a Navy guy. And I haven't heard anything out of his mouth in forever. Where you been, fella? Appreciate you, Brandar. Thank you very much. Banning, what do you got? You got anything?
No, man. And the reason I keep coming back is that main mission is bringing the community and law enforcement together. There's been some strife over the past few years, and it's gotten bigger and bigger as social media shows more and more and more. Eric and I both got into this thing in the beginning as good little officers in a department, always preach to us. 99% of law enforcement out there is great. Well, we're seeing that those numbers are not as accurate as we would like them to be.
Yeah.
And now we're all for the training. Where is the training going? And I'm reaching out to you chiefs and sheriffs out there. You see what's coming across the media stuff, all the reels and feeds. Take that time to teach your friggin' troops to treat the public right with dignity and respect. And that's what I got. And Jay, thank you so much for being here with us tonight. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Shout out to Brandar. He said, hey, what's up, y'all? I've been on deployment visiting Panama. All right, brother. Thank you for your service, as you know. Definitely respect to you, brother. And yep, keep your head up. I'm glad you got to do Panama. It's probably not nearly as bad as some other places you could have been. Glad you weren't in Iran. So that's a plus. Or the Ukraine. Yeah. Jay, everybody in the audience tonight, thank you very much. We appreciate you. Brandar, glad you're back, brother. Good to hear. And everybody, Jay, stick around real quick when we end this. Everybody else, have a good night. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe. Go find Jay on the Beyond the Thin Blue Line on all his social media. And like, follow, subscribe to his stuff as well. That's all I got. Have a good night.
Appreciate it, y'all.
Thank you, guys.